This is Atomic Shinobi, and today I am going to narrate fourth and final part of What If Kid Naruto Was an Evil Genius Shinobi. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
We can resume the Cage Summit now that everyone is present. I'm sure none of you want to stay here any longer than necessary. That being said, I now formally declare the start of this Cage Summit, during which we will jointly determine whether Onikage should be awarded Cage status, thus bestowing upon one Uzumaki Naruto the title of Shodem Onikage. Mifune's announcement was delivered in a tone that managed to be both calm and firm at the same time. Having said that, I would like to invite Uzumaki Naruto, the founder and leader of Onigakure no Sato, to speak up and clarify for us why Onigakure no Sato deserves to be recognized as a Cage organization. Keep in mind, Uzumaki Naruto, that is the general and leader of Iron Country. I am not a ninja and our country is not a shinobi nation. As such, my only function in this place is to act as a go-between for you and the five Cage. In other words, my role is merely investigative, and my word has only a marginal amount of influence. I have no final say in the matter. All I can do is oversee and direct the proceedings. The five Cage will cast a collective vote at the conclusion of the proceedings, and their decision will be final. Mifune went into great detail to say, I am not able to overrule or reverse their decision. Understood, Mifune. Sama, and we appreciate you being here at the meeting and giving us this chance to make our case. I am here advocating for the privilege and right to join the ranks of the five Cage because I firmly believe in their wisdom and integrity. Having said that, however, please understand that we appreciate your approval but do not need it. We want it but do not need it. Whether we receive your blessing or not, Onigakure will go on and prosper. These remarks might sound pretentious or conceited, but don't worry, we Onigakure people don't harbor such silly ideas or feelings. This is just the way things are. Naruto started, pausing briefly to give everyone a chance to process what he had said before making his suggestion. Cocky little brat, huh? Onoki thought, a deep frown etched on his face. He could not shake the image of Namikaze Minato hovering over the blonde Uzumaki. Everything about his words and manner reminded him so much of the yellow flash of Konoha that Onoki felt as though he had been transported back in time and space to their previous Cage Summit, where Namikaze Minato was present on behalf of Konoha. To begin with, Onigakure no Sato is, as stated in its founding charter, the new Uzushiogakure no Sato. This is one reason why we feel we have earned this right and privilege. The reason for this is that, as Prince of the Whirlpool Tides and direct descendant of the Shodem Azukage, I, Uzumaki Naruto, possess the authority and power to proclaim Onigakure as new Uzu. Furthermore, Naruto pointed to his senior and comrade, Uzumaki Fuka, the kunoichi with the red hair and blue eyes over there, and mentioned, I am not the only Uzumaki who is still alive and that lives in Onigakure. Is a betrothed Uzumaki of full blood to me. She is going to assist me in rebuilding the entire Uzumaki clan. Two other full-blooded Uzumaki, named Uzumaki Karen and Uzumaki Tayuya, who are also betrothed to me, are residents of Onigakure no Sato. As you can see, Onigakure still has 4 founding members who are descended from the Uzumaki clan, proving that the clan is still very much in existence today. Naruto concluded by saying, Onigakure no Sato is very much new Uzushiogakure and meets all of the requirements to be recognized as a Cage nation in addition to being officially recognized as new Uzu. No, it doesn't. How are we to even know whether Onigakure is real or not? Because, until you wrote your letter, neither I nor, I'm sure, the majority of the Cages present knew that you existed at all. Furthermore, there are other determining factors in this case besides genealogy. The village's size and, more significantly, the strength of its shinobi are what really count. You can clearly see that possessing a Biju does not imply Cage status. Sure, you have the Kyubi, but Tokigakure also has the Nanabi. Furthermore, since they are not one of the 5 Cage, Onoki retorted, you haven't proven anything to convince us that you should be granted Cage status. Everyone looked at the blonde Uzumaki to see how he would respond to such a strong and uncompromising statement. Tsuchikage. Dono, I recognize your perspective. I must, however, respectfully disagree. Regarding our ninja village, demonstrating its existence to you would entail pointing out its location. Please feel free to follow me after the summit if you'd like. In Onikage no Sato, we will be happy to welcome you. To be clear, Onigakure is located in Demon Country. You are welcome to travel through the many demons in the Onigakure jungles to reach us, Naruto replied with a deadpanned expression. Did you just mention devils? What sort of devils? Curious, Gaara asked. Everyone was having trouble processing what the blonde Uzumaki was saying when Naruto shot back, all sorts of demons, it's called demon country for a reason you know. Naruto spared them no more time than necessary as he continued with his explanation. In any event, Onikage has an army of 18,000 shinobi and kunoichi in terms of ninja strength. Of course, Tsuchikage. Dono, you would want to doubt the strength of our ninja, in fact, I think that's precisely what you're doubting. As a result, may I offer a recommendation? Your strongest bodyguard against any one of my bodyguards, how about a wager? You give us your vote if my bodyguard wins, and I withdraw my application if mine doesn't. Tsuchikage. Dono, what say you? Everyone was taken aback by Naruto's challenge, finding it hard to believe the boldness and audacity of coming up with such a proposition. Naruto asked, his previously expression stoic suddenly and completely changing into a cunning smirk. See. Cheeky darling brat. What a fool he is. How daring of them. With his face so red that it appeared as though steam was going to shoot out of his ears, Onoki trailed off as he unleashed a mountain of obscenities inside his head. He. How about that guy? Gigi, he really did manage to get you there. What then are you going to do? Are you really going to back out of this challenge, Gigi? You wouldn't humiliate Iwagakure no Sato in us in that way, would you? I'm the strongest person here, Gigi, without a doubt. Allow me to combat them. Isn't the goal of ninja fights to the death? So what if I murder his bodyguard or something? He did, after all, issue the challenge, correct? Even though she would have much rather had the chance to kill the Yondaime Hokage's son himself, Kuretsuchi spoke animatedly, eager to get the chance to take out one of the heir's allies. Not at all. We'll hand it off to Roshi. In the end, Onoki said. But Gigi. Onoki angrily uttered, silence. My decision is made. Live with it. Kuretsuchi angrily swore, bloody stubborn Gigi. Still treating me like a child are you? Damn you, stupid old man. Making an old man do all the work while the children rest and do nothing. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, Kuretsuchi. Roshi chided. Screw you, old man. It's not my fault, damn it, don't act like you didn't hear Gigi make the order. Kuretsuchi bellowed, and Roshi did his best to suppress the sarcastic smirk that was starting to show on his face. With a cheeky smile, Naruto said, so? Who wants to take that old man to his deathbed? Mei said as she moved forward, I'll do it, Naruto. Sama. I think I am a perfect match for the Yonbi Jinchuriki's corrosion style. To the surprise and confusion of all, Tsunade suddenly exclaimed, that won't be necessary, Terumi Mei. San. Tsuchikage. Sama, there is no need for this. Terumi Mei is someone I know that you know of. She was the leader of the bloodline faction of Kirigakure no Sato, her strength and power is something that we all know very well. As Hokage, I can attest to Naruto's own power, he was able to defeat the demon of the mist Momochi Zabuza when he was still a genin of Konoha, and that was more than 3 years ago. Now you can imagine for yourself how much stronger he has become since then. Tsunade paused for a moment to let take in the information before continuing leave. That's not even the gist of it, you heard what Godem Mizukage Dono said, didn't you? Naruto defeated the Yondaime Mizukage, the perfect Jinchuriki of the three tails in single ninja combat. How is that for power? Retorted Tsunade. Although Uzumaki, Dono and Mei San are not included here, I know for a fact that there are 2 other Onigakure no Sato members who are Kage level in their own right. Myself and all of my bodyguards have faced them in ninja combat, and we all almost lost. So that's 4 Kage level ninja already. The fact that he didn't bring those 2 men with him, and brought those other 2 women with him instead should also tell you a lot. It should tell you that either these 2 women are just as strong as those 2 men, or even worse, hard as it is to imagine, that they are even stronger than those 2 men. Tsunade deadpanned, a tense silence gripping the summit as everyone attempted to reconcile this information with their own beliefs. And that, Tsuchikage Dono, would make it 6 Kage level ninja. 6 S-ranked ninja. Think about it, and as you do, bear in mind that Uzumaki Naruto, prior to founding Onikage no Sato, was leader of a S-ranked level organization of the same threat level as Akatsuki, that is, an organization comprised of S-ranked or Kage level ninja, and it was suspected that said organization had about 10 ninja in their ranks. Tsunade said, his complexion turning completely white the longer he spoke, a stark contrast to his previous blood-red complexion tone brought on by embarrassment and rage at the blonde Uzumaki. Finally, bear in mind that Uzumaki Dono and his bodyguards are all wearing the same outfit, the uniform of the Bloodline organization. This implies that the entire Bloodline organization is associated or in fact part of Onigakure no Sato. I suspect that they are the founding members that Uzumaki Dono spoke of earlier. That means, if you haven't grasped the situation yet, that there are potentially 10 or more shinobi in Onigakure that can fight at the level of the cage. Do you understand now why this little bet that you have allowed yourself to be baited into is meaningless, and how costly it could potentially be for you? Trust me when I say this, Uzumaki Naruto is not someone to be taken lightly. Every decision he makes and every action he takes appears to be childish and petulant, but in reality, it couldn't be any further from the truth. I repeat, Uzumaki Dono is not someone to be taken lightly. Trust me, I did that and I paid a very costly price. Take it from someone who speaks from experience. Tsunade warned the Tsuchikage with a grave undertone. 10 cage shinobi at level? Absolutely absurd. That isn't possible. With some trepidation, Kuretsuchi considered the same things that Onoki, his group, and all the other guests were thinking. Tsunade Haim is a Senju clan genius, indeed. She seems to be praising Onigakure and endorsing their cause, initially, in order to fulfill her pledge to atone for the deeds of Sakura, Kurenai, and Team 10. But in reality, what she's doing is mobilizing Iwagakure, Kirigakure, and Kumogakure. Given that Naruto was a part of the Yondaime Mizukage's demise, the Yondaime being the father of the current Mizukage, Kirigakure has already reason to attack Onigakure. Because Tsunade Haim revealed his ancestry as Minato's son, Iwagakure will undoubtedly want to attack them. With this knowledge, Kiri and Iwa might come to realize how much they both want Onigakure to fall, or more precisely, that Uzumaki Naruto dies. As a result, they might work together to defeat Onigakure. Kumo has always been fascinated with the power of the Biju and the Uzumaki clan bloodline. Kumo was a part of the original three-part alliance that destroyed Uzu, along with Iwa and Kiri. Now that they are aware, thanks to Tsunade Haim, that acting alone will lead to their demise, they must work together to accomplish their shared goal of destroying Uzu in order to launch an attack on Onigakure. Tsunade Haim, you did a great job. Naruto, what will you do now? Anticipating, Jiraiya thought. It seems there won't be a need for you to test the strength and battle prowess of Onigakure's shinobi, Tsuchikage. Dono. Perhaps now we can proceed to the voting, unless there are any more questions to ask of one Uzumaki Naruto. Dono from the other cage? Mifune replied in a questioning voice. Mifune gave the order. Very well, all those who believe that Onigakure no Sato has met the requirements to be granted cage status, raise your hands. All 5 of the cages raised their hands in the air, although Onoki and Kagura, in particular, were obviously not pleased about it. Interesting, instead of asking for hands to rise from those who support Onigakure no Sato becoming a cage nation, he worded the request so as to eliminate any preference and base it solely on the case's facts. Because he didn't want any of the cage to make rash or emotional decisions, he made sure to pose the question so that the person who didn't raise their hand would look like a complete idiot. Mei grinned slightly and thought that Mifune is a very shrewd man. Then it is decided, Uzumaki Naruto, by unanimous decision, you are now officially designated the status of Onikage and Onigakure no Sato will now be officially recognized as new Uzushiogakure no Sato and as the 6th cage nation. With that said, I hereby declare this cage summit adjourned. Messenger birds will be sent to all the daimyo and ninja village leaders of the elemental nations within the week in order to publicize this information. You may all be dismissed. Mifune concluded. In the interim, unknown place. With a courteous yet authoritative tone, Pain said, "Good afternoon, my dear comrades. We are all here because Zetsu requested for me to organize an emergency meeting. With that said, Zetsu, the stand is now yours. Speak your mind." Somewhere in the elemental nations, they were gathering at a covert base that looked like an underground lair. All of the members appeared through a self-projection jutsu that was infused with their Akatsuki rings by Lord Pain, even though none of them were physically present. Along with Zetsu, Pain, and Konan, all of the other members were present as well, including Kisame, Itachi, Kakuzu, Hidan, Deidara, and Sasori. Thank you, leader. Sama. I called for this meeting because one of our members broke a sacred treaty and engaged the bloodline in ninja combat. Uchiha Itachi, could you explain your reasons to the organization for disobeying leader's orders and almost thrusting the organization into an unplanned war? Zetsu responded with a fair amount of annoyance. Pain questioned inquisitively, Itachi? Is this true? What do you have to say for yourself? That's it? That's all there is to it? He disobeyed your orders and broke a damn treaty. You should let me sacrifice him to Jashin Sama this instant. Hidan growled. No way. You stupid zombie. If anyone is going to kill Itachi, it's going to be me, HN. Deidara angrily exclaimed. You seem to have gotten yourself into a bit of a pickle, Itachi. San. If leader gives the order for your death, won't things get a little awkward between us? Kisame laughed merrily, and Itachi remained composed as a cucumber the entire time. Pain said in a threatening tone, I don't remember asking for any of your opinions. Itachi, this is your last opportunity, I won't give you another one. Leader. Sama, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the agreement we had with the bloodline that we would leave them alone so long as Uzumaki Naruto was able to successfully remove the Biju from his person and set it free? Yet, Kisame. Senpai and I have turned the elemental nations upside down in our search for the Kyuubi and have found no traces of its location. How hard could it be to find a 50-story creature with that much chakra between Kisame? Senpai and Samahada's chakra sensing abilities and my Sharingan's ability to detect and discern chakra? Itachi paused. With unwavering determination, Pain questioned, does any of that give you the authority to disobey my orders, Itachi? My point, leader. Sama, is that I am not the one who broke the treaty, but Uzumaki Naruto is the one who broke it by not releasing the Kyuubi as he promised he would. I merely followed your order that I should hunt down and retrieve the Kyuubi, or at the very least report on its whereabouts. Itachi responded. And where is it? Where is the Kyuubi, if indeed you were acting on my orders? Demanded Pain. Hey. You stupid little shit. Now you've done it. Pain menacingly said, silence. Hidan, this is your last warning. Immediately, Hidan closed his mouth completely because he knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that Pain had the one ability that no one else possessed, which was the ability to kill him. He was positive of this because, on their first meeting, the bastard showed him his body and then took his soul out of it before returning it. Hidan enjoyed suffering, whether it was his own or someone else's, so it was quite an experience to say the least, and the most painful and terrifying of his life. Itachi did a fantastic job of controlling his nerves to the point where it appeared to the untrained eye that he was not at all fazed by the possibility of drawing the wrath of the god of aim. Itachi, where is the Kyuubi? Pain questioned. Leader. Sama, I faced Uzumaki Naruto in battle, I looked deep within him with all of my visual prowess, and I found not a single hint of a Biju inside of him, neither did Kisame and Samahada. So it would seem as though it is not inside of him. Itachi responded. Sensing that Itachi was hiding something from him, Pain questioned, it would seem. You say, leader. Sama, do you recall the video footage Zetsu played on Uzumaki Naruto's battle with Kimimaro of the Sound 5, the one he played on his battle with my foolish little brother, and the one he played of his battle with the Yondaime Mizukage? Itachi asked in jest. Pain said, what of it? In all of those battles, not only does he look slightly different and carry different weapons, but his entire fighting style is completely different. Even today, in our battle, when you watch it, you'll notice that he uses an entirely different fighting style and different jutsu too, and he doesn't even use the same weapons. He didn't have the Raijin no Ken today and he didn't use any lightning style jutsu. Leader. Sama, there is no doubt that I fought Uzumaki Naruto today, but which Uzumaki Naruto did I fight? Itachi paused. When Pain gave him a death glare, Hidan trailed off, saying, Hua. What the hell is this idiot blab? He usually just let him do and say whatever he wanted, but he was in a bad mood today, so he quickly remembered. You are implying that there is more than one Uzumaki Naruto? That he has more than one physical body? That he has the power of a god, like me? Pain was inquisitive. He battled Kagaya Kimimaro, a Shikatsumyako user, some years ago, and then resurfaced years later to fight against my stupid little brother, using what in that battle exactly? I think he not only possesses that ability, but also the ability to imbue these bodies with different bloodline limits. Itachi was interrupted by Pain, who said, the Shikatsumyako. Itachi deadpanned, exactly. Yakushi Kabuto, who is best described as a mad scientist who is particularly fixated on using corpses and DNA experiments, was Uzumaki Naruto's apprentice. Uzumaki Naruto may have followed in his footsteps, in which case, based on what you are stating, Itachi, you conclude that Naruto has not only produced genetic clones of himself, but also given those clones the bloodline limitations of other people. If this is the case, you think that Uzumaki Naruto is just fabricating the appearance of having the Kyuubi by sending out his DNA clones to engage with the outside world and that everything is a hoax. Is that all there is to it? In a rhetorical question, Pain asked. This does not appear to surprise you, leader. Sama. Is it possible that you have a hunch or better yet, know exactly how this works already? Itachi questioned, his eyes widening slightly in shock at realizing he had underestimated leader once more. I was right to suspect this. Proving it, though, is a whole different story. Furthermore, fighting all of Uzumaki Naruto's clones at once will be very challenging if they are that strong individually, and it is reasonable to believe that the original Naruto is even more powerful than his clones. It will require careful planning. Since we only need to gather the Kyuubi at the end, it would probably be better to let him believe that we are fooling him for the time being and then use all of Akatsuki's might to attack him and the bloodline. Naturally, while the rest of you dealt with the bloodline, Konan and I dealt directly with Uzumaki Naruto and his clones. I had that plan in mind, at least. Pain gave Itachi and the other members of the organization an explanation of his thinking. Did I really underestimate him again, just when I promised myself I wouldn't? Itachi thought in disbelief. He had already planned this far ahead? Does this imply that we will no longer be capturing the Kyuubi? In the interim, what should we do? Kisame inquired. Don't you all have your own personal goals? Itachi was aiming for the Kyuubi, but you are after the Yonbi. Put your attention there for the time being, and if you feel compelled, keep looking for the Kyuubi in the unlikely event that Naruto was telling the truth and actually keeping his end of the bargain. Pain ordered. Go ahead, leader. Sama. But what should we do in the event that we run into Uzumaki Naruto or his purported clones once again? Kisame inquired inquisitively. You do what you want. That's something I'll let you decide. Though there is still much to be done before Uzumaki Naruto or the Kyuubi become a target, please be aware that he is not an immediate priority. The god of aim merely answered, avoid him if you can. Comprehended, Kisame shot back. Does anyone else want to bring up any other topics during this meeting? In a rhetorical question, Pain asked. We want to be let off the hook. Ichibi was present at the Kage summit. Speaking for the first time since the start of the meeting, Sasori stated, we want to send him on his way back. That seems like a sensible strategy. Sasori and Deidara, you may depart. Pain gave the order, and the two nodded, instantly canceling their projection jutsu and leaving the cave. Let's go and catch the two tails, Kakuzu, you slothful bastard. Hidan shouted with excitement. A fool. For once, apply your intellect. The Eight Tails Jinchuriki and Yondaime Raikage, his brother, are traveling with the two tails. Not at all are our circumstances the same. Kakuzu chastised his foolish companion, saying, we have to get the Nibi when she is alone. Hidedan, Kakuzu is right. We have personally selected each member of the organization based on their intelligence and fortitude. You can defeat an entire shinobi force between you, but the same is true for the Raikage, the Nibi Jinchuriki, and the Hachibi Jinchuriki. Sometimes the best opportunity comes with waiting. Pain lectured, select your moments wisely, as Sasori just did. Now. Either way, I'm leaving. With a pout, Hidan turned off his projection and answered. What a fool. I have to leave as the leader before my partner makes a foolish move. Not that he trusted anyone else in the world but himself, Kakuzu thought with utter mistrust for his partner, like kill me while I'm still in the projection jutsu. Pain gave the order, go, all of you, you are dismissed. Kakuzu, Kisame, and Kakuzu all cancelled out their jutsu and vanished from the cave, leaving only Pain, Konan, and Zetsu. He won't likely appreciate this, in my opinion. Zetsu remarked warily, it doesn't seem like things are going as you had planned. He is free to take charge and manage things on his own if he doesn't like it. In addition, precisely which plan are you referring to? Nothing that the Kyuubi boy has done is beyond what Pain. Sama already anticipated. As previously mentioned by Pain. Sama, the Kyuubi is not an urgent concern, so if Madara has any other agenda, he needs to reveal it. Since we're still awaiting the capture of the Ichibi and Nibi, we haven't even sealed the Sanbi. Thus, why is there such a commotion surrounding the Kyuubi boy? There was an obvious edge to Konan's tone, as if she's had enough and will not put up with her husband's continued abuse, even though her expression and tone betrayed little emotion. Tell Madara, Zetsu, that we won't be intimidated or harassed, and we won't run around like headless chickens because he can't control his emotions and practice some patience. It was he who demanded that we move through the shadows in silence. Pain stated, "This is what it looks like to be silent in the shadows, never once appearing to have lost any of his invincibility or imperviousness during this or their earlier conversations with the other members of Akatsuki. All right, just enough." Zetsu said, "I'll let him know what you said, though I cannot say for sure what the outcome will be." He also cancelled his transparency jutsu. "Are things going well, Pain?" Conan questioned, worried, "You seem troubled." "Conan, you need not worry about anything. All I'm thinking about is Uzumaki Naruto and his supposed fate. There's no denying that Naruto would be the last boss we would have to face if this were a novel or manga. It's going to take careful planning and even training to beat him. From his point of view, on the other hand, I might be the last boss he needs to defeat. That's why it's even more important that we find the other 8 Biju before going after him." Pain was fully described. "I may have to use the Gedo statue once more, having it destroy the remainder of Onigakure in the bloodline while I deal with Uzumaki Naruto and his purported genetic clones myself. But Pain. Conan, don't panic. This time, it won't be the same. This time, the Biju's whole life force will be contained within the Gedo Mazo." Pain described. "It won't need to take up my life force to survive." Conan stumbled, saying, I see." Pain thought, "I might have to change the 6 paths. These so-called genetic clones, they're strong in their own right. If they fight as a team, it could be troublesome. But I have a question." Conan stumbled to himself. "Conan, what's it? What about the details from one of my old espionage reports that I provided you regarding the relationship between Sasori and Yakushi Kabuto? You know that Uzumaki Naruto's master and sensei is Yakushi Kabuto, his former protege and spy. Don't you find it strange that Sasori hasn't mentioned it? Isn't it peculiar that he hasn't provided any support or encouragement at all?" Conan questioned inquiringly. "As long as Sasori keeps up his work and pursues the Biju, it makes no difference. Members of the Akatsuki are free to pursue their personal goals and maintain their own secrets in their personal lives as long as they carry out their duties and do not divulge the organization's secrets. It must be for personal reasons that Sasori is keeping this a secret. But do not stop having your origami monitor his whereabouts and activities." Pain wisely replied, "We may need to use that connection for our advantage, depending on how much trouble Uzumaki Naruto gives us." To which Conan answered, "As you command, Pain. Sama. Nagato, you have such a heavy load to bear. It is truly amazing that you can manage and lead so many ranked criminals, even though you are a Rinnegan wielder. Allegiance can be won, but it takes more than just power to keep it. The Akatsuki members have not stayed and worked diligently because they fear your power, but rather because they respect you. It is the only reason some of them have not formed an alliance against you. You are a living miracle." Conan pondered. Re-entering the summit. Clap, clap, clap. Naruto approached the Konoha contingent, who were joined by the Suna group, and that was the sound of his clapping. Tsunade stated in a no-nonsense manner, "What the hell do you want? I've paid my debt to you. If you're here to squeeze anything else out of me, then you're out of luck. Indeed, you did repay me for the debt you owed me. And don't worry, we won't be pursuing any justice for what your apprentice and her friends did. Then why are you following us? You haven't even left the building. I sincerely doubt this qualifies as following someone." Naruto replied. Trying desperately not to lose his temper, Jiraiya cried out angrily, "And I sincerely doubt that anyone here gives a crap about what you think. What do you want, traitor? I actually came here to say that I'm impressed by the strength of the Konoha Suna alliance. To think that Hokage Dono and her elite guard would personally escort Kage. Dono and his elite guard back to Sunagakure just to protect Kage. Dono from an Akatsuki ambush. To have lost your own Jinchuriki but be willing to go to this extent to protect the Jinchuriki of another village, be it ally or not, is truly an impressive and inspirational display of friendship." Naruto said, focusing on the significance of the Hokage and the Kage. "Nani? Wa? Who the hell told you that we?" "Ahem," Kakashi abruptly yelled, interrupting Tsunade as he firmly placed his right hand on Tsunade's left shoulder. Kakashi. What is happening? Tsunade pondered cautiously. Thank you for singing such high praises of us, Naruto, but do you honestly think that will eliminate the ire we have towards you? Do you really think that you can be friends with us again after everything that you have done? Kakashi was incredulous. Nice one, Kakashi. I figured you guys would be able to figure out what was going on, if nobody else could. Akatsuki needs to put a stop to his plans as soon as possible, if only so I can find out exactly what they're up to. For now, I'll have to play this chess game since I can't directly oppose them, Naruto thought. Now Kakashi. Sensei, that's no way to speak to the Kage of another village. You must try and follow your own words. Remember how you told Sasuke to forget about revenge? Well, time to practice what you preach. Speaking of which, I saw him recently, you know. First thing he did was try to kill me, can you believe that guy? Naruto chuckled as if he were talking to En. Tsunade asked in succession, you what? Where is he? What is he doing? What's he up to? He was able to shift the subject in a seamless and transitional way without anyone else noticing. Does he not wish to investigate this topic further? That implies that he thought the message he intended to convey was understood, most likely by Hitaki Kakashi. Why is he circling around this so much? Is there a reason he can't say it like it is? Gaara thought to herself. Unfortunately, I cannot speak on his current location. However, I do believe you should leave him be for now. His immediate targets are Orochimaru and Itachi in that order. Why not let him do your dirty work for you and then come after him? Konoha has been hunting down Orochimaru and Itachi for years without any success. However, if you let Sasuke do his thing and he succeeds, then you'll only have one problem to deal with. According to Naruto. HN. You must take me for a fool. You're not saying all of this for our sake. I know you've got some angle you're playing. You have something to gain from this, don't you? Tsunade responded with disdain. Naruto would have liked to say, of course I do. Itachi is my natural enemy, after all, he's a member of Akatsuki. Orochimaru, on the other hand, is not only a former member of Akatsuki, he is the man who has my sensei under his control. To free Kabuto from Orochimaru's spell, Orochimaru has to die. But if I kill him, then Kabuto sensei would probably hate me for it. If someone else does it, then it's all good. Ninja code was designed to be secretive for a reason. Keeping one's secrets to oneself is the cornerstone of ninja existence. Well, maybe I'm just feeling generous today. In any case, Kage. Dono, I just want to say to you before I go that I'm really proud of you. You, I, and the Godem Mizukage becoming Kage at our ages, I think shows just how much our generation has surpassed the previous generations, or at the very least are en route to leaving them in the dust eventually. Also, us being Jinchuriki makes it even better. The Yondaime Mizukage brought dishonor to us Jinchuriki in the way he conducted himself. It was supposed to be a stride for us as he was the first Jinchuriki to be named Kage of a nation, but it ended up becoming a dozen steps back for us. And yet, here we are, the two of us. Let us bring honor to the name of the Jinchuriki. Our deeds will have a huge impact in how Jinchuriki are treated in the future. Naruto said passionately, of course still pretending, by necessity, to still be a Jinchuriki. Kurama was already in trouble, and Akatsuki didn't want to add to it by telling Konoha that he was wandering the Elementations without a Jinchuriki host. It was bad enough that the guy was actively searching for Kurama. Thank you for your kind words, Onikage. Dono. I do not know what is happening between you and Konoha, and I have gone out of my way to stay out of it. Because I remember that it was actually you, with Jiraiya Sama's help, who fixed my Jinchuriki seal, and it was also you who urged Hokage Dono to give us a second chance. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So, just know, whatever happens between our villages in the future, and even if we end up fighting on opposite sides, I will always be grateful to you for the kindness that you have shown, and I hope you will understand that even if I am indebted to you, I still have to act in the interests of my people as their Kage, even if that means acting against you. Replied Gaara. Naruto grinned sincere and said, I understand completely, don't worry about it. With a carefree demeanor, Naruto turned and strolled away from the Konoha and Suna contingents, saying, anyway, it's time we also made our way. You guys enjoy your trip to Suna. We'll meet again, I'm sure. After 3 hours. Godem Kage Gaara said calmly, it doesn't seem like anyone is following us, but I'll keep searching with my sand and continue to use my third eye technique. Senju Tsunade, the Godem Hokage, responded, okay, now that we've gone past the border of Iron Country, let us stop here for a moment and have a bit of a discussion about what we are actually going to do. She and her bodyguards quickly came to a stop, followed by the Kage and his bodyguards. Curious, Gaara said, what do you wish to discuss? This whole thing, going to Suna with you. I'm not sure it's such a good idea. I feel like this is trap of some sort, a misdirection perhaps. Tsunade responded with skepticism. I see. And are these thoughts shared by Jiraiya and Kakashi? San? I only ask not to undermine your intuition and intellect but because they were Uzumaki Naruto's teachers. As a result I feel as though they might have valuable input in this discussion. Gaara continued. No offense taken, I intended for everyone, bodyguards included, to provide input where they can anyway. Replied Tsunade. I think it could be a diversion, but that could only be true if he intends to attack Konoha while we are away. The four of us are the best that Konoha has to offer, without us the village is vulnerable. However, I have left a messenger toad in Konoha in case something like that happens, and in any case I don't see why he would attack us now. He could have done that years ago, he had the perfect opportunity 3 years ago and had the element of surprise too at the time. He could have killed Team 10 and Kurenai's ROOT team without us finding out until after the summit to further weaken us, but he didn't even do that. He could have also taken them hostage, 3 clan heirs, the Hokage's apprentice, and the Genjutsu mistress and master profiler of Konoha. That's a very big catch as far as leverage goes. So, in the end, I've ended up contradicting myself because a diversion is neither necessary nor does it give him any advantage that he couldn't have already obtained before the summit. Maybe he really was being genuine, maybe he is telling the truth. For once. Jiraiya aired his thoughts on the matter. You do make some valid points. What about you, Hitaki Kakashi? San? What do you think? The Kage asked. I don't think it's a diversion. However, we are but pieces on his shogi board. Replied Kakashi. With a deep frown, Kankuro questioned, what do you mean exactly? He didn't like the thought of being someone else's pawn at all. I believe that Naruto's hidden message was genuine. He was basically telling us that an Akatsuki attack is imminent, and that it will definitely happen on your way back home, Kage. Sama. However, for one reason or another, he couldn't come out and say it directly, either because he thought that Akatsuki is watching us, or because he and his organization has some sort of agreement with Akatsuki, details of which I don't know. So basically, he is unable or unwilling to actively move against Akatsuki, and is hoping that we will do the dirty work for him. Tsunade grumbled. I only venture to guess, but yes, that is essentially what I believe. Replied Kakashi. Baki abruptly said, there's another possibility. Tsunade inquired, how so? With a mix of curiosity and caution. It could be that he is not necessarily using you to dispose of Akatsuki, but using Akatsuki to dispose of you. If he were to attack Konoha and successfully destroy Konoha, the other nations would fear his power and band together. However, he can systematically destroy Konoha by putting you in the crossfires of both yours and his enemies. Naturally, it could also be that both scenarios are true. He could be conspiring against both you and Akatsuki. To add to that, he could also really be trying to protect Kage Sama as a fellow Jinchuriki whilst weakening both Akatsuki and Konoha. Whatever the case may be though, there is only one question we have to ask ourselves. Can we afford for the Suna Konoha alliance to not have a single Jinchuriki between us? If we lose the Ichibi, our alliance will not have a single Jinchuriki, while other villages like Iwagakure, Kumogakure, have 2 Jinchuriki each, and Kirigakure presumably still has at least 1. Baki said with a sorrowful tone. Kuso. He is entirely correct. He is spot on. Suna's loss of the Ichibi will put our alliance at risk as a whole. Those bastards Kumo and Iwa will get too self-assured and come at us. It's just a matter of time. Nevertheless, I hope I've succeeded in drawing those bastards' attention to Onigakure. Their first concern should be Onigakure, between Naruto and the Bloodline organization. They would still have to be careful not to expose their villages to an Onigakure attack, even if they were determined to destroy the Konoha Suna alliance. However, isn't that reciprocal? Then, wouldn't they be reluctant to attack Onigakure, fearing that the Konoha Suna alliance would attack them while they were distracted by Onigakure? Kuso, and there's still the matter of Akatsuki lurking in the background. Bravo. Why must everything be so difficult? Tsunade thought to herself, frustrated. Tsunade angrily exclaimed, Okay, fine, whatever. Let's hurry up and get to Suna already. Baki bowed respectfully and said, as you wish, Godem. Sama. Suna will never forget your mercy and your kindness. Yes, without a doubt. Come on, let's get out. Tsunade commanded, and they all used their Shunshin techniques at the same time to vanish from the area at elite Jonin speeds. Hee. Everything is unfolding precisely as Naruto Sama had intended. That guy is very, very special. It makes sense that the king himself refers to him as our Kami. Sama. Melioran thought from his perch up on a tree, using secret ninja art. Perfect plan in order to not only render himself invisible, but also undetectable by neither touch nor smell or hearing. In doing so, using an ability even superior to the Uzumaki clan's chakra extinguishing technique. In any case, I should hurry up and send a chameleon to report this to Naruto Sama. With 3 large fingers on each hand and 2 large toes on each foot, Melioran resembles a chameleon. He sports a shaggy goatee and short, blonde hair with a curl in the middle. He is wearing sweatpants and a black hooded sweatshirt, and he doesn't seem to be carrying any weapons. A chameleon was called forth by Melioran, who muttered, Kachiyose no jutsu. Report to Naruto Sama that everything is going according to plan. I'm going to continue observing the Konoha and Suna teams just in case anything else happens. The order came from Melioran. The chameleon said, H. Hi, Melioran. Sama. Before vanishing into thin air and moving rather quickly for a tiny animal. Melioran said aloud, Okay, back to work it is then, before continuing on with his task. Other. Unknown place, dense forest approximately 10 miles beyond Iron Country. I guess I shouldn't be too shocked that these guys are pursuing Onigakure no Sato and me. I just wasn't expecting them to move so quickly following the summit. Besides, when had they had time to band together? Naruto thought in dismay, damn that Tsunade, her plan worked better than I could have imagined. The Raikage and his 3 bodyguards, Yugito, Darui, and Killer Bee, were waiting for them a good 50 meters in front of them. But the Raikage was standing far ahead of his subordinates, suggesting that whatever was going to happen, he either wanted to get even with Naruto before it happened or was genuinely assured enough to think he could defeat Naruto and his team on his own, a ridiculous notion, if that was what Naruto believed. That wouldn't have been too big of a problem, though, if that was all that was going on. Naruto also sensed that the Godem Mizukage and his bodyguards were hiding behind the trees to the Raikage's left and on his far right, and, to make matters worse, he could also sense that the Tsuchikage and his team were there, flying high above him from behind him along with his team, who were somehow also flying. I doubt that any of them are able to fly. Naruto made the both accurate and incorrect deduction that, although Onoki had indeed used his powers on Roshi and Han, Kuretsuchi was flying on her own initiative since she had learned how to use the particle release on her own. The Tsuchikage must have temporarily used his particle release on his subordinates. As he proceeded slowly through the hand seals for the summoning technique, Naruto trailed off, I guess I have no choice but to entertain them for a while, but before I do anything. The Raikage's eyes narrowed suspiciously, but he made no move to stop Naruto from acting in any way. Kachiyose no Jutsu, Chimera Ant Royal Flying Squad, was the phrase Naruto uttered as he joined his hands after breaking through the hand seals. As he used the jutsu, a thick cloud of smoke materialized around him. He used the summoning method without offering a human sacrifice. Which type of calling is this? With caution, Darui thought. What is that enormous, menacing chakra? Yugito thought with a mixture of wonder and caution. Ooh. Great Kami. Sama. You have finally saw fit to summon me in battle. What a great honor this is for me. Ooh, I've never been so happy in my entire life. Kami. Sama, what will you have me do for you? Should I capture and torture these human animals for you? Should I maim or should I annihilate? Should I just devour their nutritious bodies? Sheapoof exclaimed with joy. Sheapoof is a chimera ant with a more anthropomorphic appearance. His short dark blonde hair covers up his ears and forehead, and his thistle-purple skin and tall, lean frame give him the appearance of a young adult. Poof's multicolored butterfly wings and antennae are his only insect parts. He has on a black pair of shoes, black pants, and a frilly white shirt. With dismay, Mosquito exclaimed, there he goes again. Seriously, can this guy be any more theatrical? Mosquitoes are partially insect-like, with an exoskeleton that makes them light enough to fly with their wings. Her lower legs are digitigrade, with extra forelegs, and all of her limbs are extended to end in twin hooks. Her shins and biceps are striped like a hornet's and covered in long bristles. She also has a pretty curvaceous body. Her head has features similar to a mosquito's, such as 2 sets of antennae, a shortened proboscis, and a second pair of compound eyes, despite having long hair and a distinctly human face. She still carries a banded abdomen from the small of her back, despite her body being more humanoid. Mentutuyupi said dismissively, "Hey. This guy is a hopeless fanatic. Just leave him be." Mentutuyupi, whose real name is Yupi, has a somewhat human appearance. His body is bulky and manly, but he has sharp teeth, animal-like legs with feet that resemble 2 digits of round toes, and irregularly shaped ears. His short black hair is slicked back on his head, and his skin is a dark red color. Yupi, who only wears a pair of skin-tight black pants, is extremely tall, has prominent facial bones, and a large, muscular frame that is comparable to or even larger than the Raikage's. Bat chuckled, "Hey. Like you're any better, Yupi. Sama. Bat is a chimera ant that resembles a bat and has bat-like ears and wings. Aside from that and her dark gray skin, she appears to be completely human. She is dressed in form-fitting black ninja pants, black fingerless gloves with a metal plate at the back, and a similarly form-fitting black sleeveless top that covers her upper body only, looking more like a combat bra. Her big bat-like wings protrude from the back of the bra, of course, so there are holes in it. Naruto. Sama. I sense a great many strong enemies with killing intent towards you. My Kami. Sama, please give the order for us to exterminate your enemies. I, as leader of the Royal Flying Squad, promise you that all of those who dare to oppose you will be made to suffer before they are sent to hell in the afterlife. No, actually, we will even obliterate their very souls. There will be no afterlife for those who dare to oppose Kami. Sama himself. Poof said theatrically. Thank you for such kind words, Commander of the Chimera Ant Royal Flying Squad, Sheapoof. However, for now at least, I would only ask that you briefly halt the Tsuchikage and his guards advance on me while I parley with the Raikage. If however they should show open hostility towards you, or try to advance beyond you, then feel free to do as you deem fit, preferably with the end result being the complete annihilation of the Tsuchikage and his elite guard. Oh, and don't forget to give me their corpses if their bodies are still intact. I wouldn't mind adding such quality corpses to my collection. Ordered. The 4 of them moved out and flew away at completely inhuman speeds, including Yupi, who had managed to morph a gigantic pair of wings onto his back while Sheapoof was giving the order. Oh great Kami. Sama, both your benevolence and your cruelty, displayed in a single paragraph of divine words have filled my soul and my heart with the utmost pleasure and joy. Sheapoof commanded. Hear me now, my beloved Royal Flying Squad. Our God has delivered his judgment, let us move at once, for it is the duty of his beloved servants to ensure that our gods will be done. My beloved Flying Squad, move out. Looks like I got called into the Royal Flying Squad instead of the Assault Squad this time. There must be a reason for this, Naruto. Sama. Is there someone in the Tsuchikage's elite guard that I am better suited to defeat? Yupi thought to himself. Sheapoof, if you are as smart as I believe you are, you will realize that Yupi and Mosquito are the best people to fight the Jinchuriki, and that you and Bat are the best people to fight the Tsuchikage and his daughter. I didn't specify what formation you should use. Naruto considered this while he proceeded through another set of hand seals. Let us see how worthy you are of leading the Royal Flying Squad, Commander Sheapoof. Those things are truly terrifying. What specific type of summons are they? Even though I'm not a sensor type, I can sense how absurdly strong their chakra is. Where did those items come from, Onikage? With his speed, Raikage. Sama could have prevented the Onikage from finishing his hand seals, but instead he just stands there as if unconcerned. Is he not aware of the power emanating from those things? Warily, Darui thought. Kachiyose no jutsu. Naruto uttered while holding his hands together. As he called forth additional creatures, a sizable cloud of smoke appeared and quickly vanished, revealing 4 more creatures. Neferpito, along with the members of her squad, Colt, Zazen, and Shitu, kneeled in front of Naruto and said, Great Kami. Sama and Progenitor, commander of the Chimera Ant Royal Assault Squad, Neferpito, reporting for duty. Pito. Sama hasn't immediately leapt Naruto. Sama, which surprised Shitu. Could it be that Naruto Sama has called in the entire assault squad and flying squad? Maybe even Pito Sama can become serious when needed? Colt thought analytically, it looks like I've been called into the assault squad again. Yuppie has taken my place in the flying squad, possibly a tactical decision. The Mizukage and his elite guard could be your opponents, Commander Pito, Colt, Zazen, and Shitu. 300 meters to the east is where they're hiding. All you have to do is postpone them until I finish my parley with the Raikage. However, feel free to get rid of them if they behave hostilely and you think it's necessary. As a result, refrain from inciting violence. We do not desire war. However, if they attack you, make sure that none of them survive. Are you all in agreement? Hi. Hey, Naruto. The group gave a salute. I can't believe such a wonderful opportunity has presented itself. Naruto. Sama will be mine, and as a result I'll become queen of both the Chimera Ants and Onigakure no Sato. I'm getting wet just thinking about all the wonderful times I'm going to have with Naruto. Sama as my eternal mate. Zazen thought diabolically. We're fighting the Mizukage and his elite guard. If I can kill a Kage, Naruto Sama will have to acknowledge me as a great warrior. Shitu thought pessimistically, wondering if he would ever find a worthy partner to dance with, someone who can actually challenge me, since most of my opponents are usually so slow. Colt thought resolutely, I can't afford to fail here, not with Naruto Sama giving me such a big responsibility. Pito thought excitedly, I have to concentrate on the mission for Nio. The sooner I finish it, the sooner I can play with Naruto Sama. Just thinking about it makes me all wet and bothered. Nio. Leave now if you understand. Hi. Hello, Kami. The squad gave a salute and then vanished using their unique Shunshin moves. The Kumogakure and Iwagakure squads will give us the most trouble. We'll have to go all out if we want to win, but there is no choice. It's not like we didn't predict that something like this would happen. Naruto thought to himself as he started to approach the Raikage. If a battle breaks out and the Assault Squad win, then we'll have to take over Kirigakure and make it an Onigakure outpost. Perhaps then I can put Mei-chan in charge of things over there. Wherever you are, you guys wait. Naruto said, not waiting for his elite guard to object because he was already en route to meet the Raikage in the middle. Only engage if the Raikage's elite guard interferes, otherwise leave this to me and the Raikage. The Raikage assessed the blonde shinobi approaching him and thought, those creatures are dangerous. Summoning just one of them would take enough chakra to summon a boss-level summon, and yet he doesn't look winded at all, as if the chakra he expanded was but a mere drop in an ocean. Even most Jonin shinobi would be winded after summoning just one of those creatures. Summoning two would almost certainly exhaust their reserves. The Raikage thought as the blonde Uzumaki finally arrived, there is neither fear nor doubt in his eyes, only confidence and resolve. However, whether that is real or an illusion, or whether it is a mere delusion, an unfounded and misguided confidence, remains to be seen. The Raikage felt as though he had been waiting for weeks, even though it had only been a minute, and the two of them were staring into each other's eyes for what felt like hours. Then, for a mere gaki, you're pretty confident, the Raikage snorted. For years, I've been getting ready to declare myself the Onikage. The Onikage shot back, saying, this incident, you, the Tsuchikage, and the Mizukage teaming up on me, is nothing unexpected. As Naruto assessed the Raikage, he thought, this guy is huge. He makes Jiraiya look small, and that says a lot, not to mention his far superior physique. He's just as huge and fit as Gatsu. Even though his massive cloak covers his entire body, I can tell, having spent my entire life rigorously training and conditioning my body, that this boy is in excellent physical shape and that his body is in perfect physical condition. He is definitely strong, at least for a gaki, the Raikage thought. Who said that we were teaming up to attack you? Those idiots simply happened to wander over here. The Raikage answered, I don't need any assistance from some dubious ally who would sooner stab you in the back if I'm going to take you out. Naruto thought cautiously, yeah, it's true that I have the Kyuubi's ability to sense emotions, and I can tell that the Raikage and his team have no negative emotions or hatred towards us. The Kiri and Iwa teams do, however, hate us and are releasing a tremendous amount of killing intent, but not these guys. After what happened with Might Guy 3 years ago, we now know that there are people who can launch killing techniques at you without feeling any hatred or releasing killing intent at you. I see. In that instance, I take it that you have a question or something you would like to say? What's that? Curious, Naruto asked. There's nothing I want to ask you. I merely wanted to confirm if you really are Namikaze Minato's son, that's all. You see, he was my arch rival. He and I battled many times against each other, and I lost each and every time. So to find out that he actually had a son, well, I had to see for myself what kind of man he is, and if he really is the son of that man. The Raikage responded. Dismissively, Naruto said, and? How do you plan to make this confirmation? If you want a blood sample, I'm afraid I'll have to pass. I currently hold the title of fastest man in the world. However, when your father was alive, I was only the second fastest man in the world. If you really are Minato's son, then surely you must be the fastest man alive. If not, if I am in fact faster than you, then I will not acknowledge you as his son. Well, in any case, if you're not faster than me, you'll likely die here today, and if that happens, then I'll take that Uzumaki woman as my prize. She will give birth to the ultimate Yatsuki clan heirs. Imagine, the blood of the Uzumaki and the Yatsuki combined together? The Raikage said. Ultimately, this boils down to Kumogakure's and his family's fixation on the Uzumaki clan lineage. Then, at least he is approaching it with a modicum of civility. Naruto mentally shook his head. Very well, Raikage. Dono. Challenge accepted. However, I must ask, what will happen if you are the one who loses this duel? With an indifferent wave of his hand, the Raikage answered, nothing. If you lose, we will allow you to pass. With a casual dismissal of Kumogakure's value as an ally, Naruto said, bully tactics? Fine. It's not like there is anything we want from Kumogakure or anyone for that matter. This caused a tick mark to appear on the Raikage's forehead. The Raikage deadpanned, I've told my subordinates not to get in the way of our duel. So have I. Naruto trailed off. The Raikage attacked in the exact moment that Naruto concluded, confirming that he, too, had instructed his subordinates not to interfere. He launched his powerful left leg off the ground and delivered an incredibly quick right knee to the blonde Uzumaki's chin. But the blonde Uzumaki was quick enough to block the attack by pushing down with both hands on the knee, and he was also surprisingly strong enough to completely negate the effect of the attack by pushing the knee back down, leaving the Raikage completely exposed on his torso, without being pushed back at all. The blonde Uzumaki instantly created an instant Rasengan and forcefully rammed it into the Raikage's chest, sending the muscular bound freak of a man flying away from her with an uncontrollable speed. When Yugito and Killer Bee, his elite guard, attempted to break up his fall, they were pushed back a significant distance by the Raikage's force and speed, and by the time they were able to fully stop the Raikage's trajectory, their feet were buried knee deep in the earth. What incredible power and speed! It's astounding to me that he managed to repel Sama's direct attack and even dislodge Sama from his position. Even Killer Bee. Sama has never been able to accomplish that, so how come this guy not only moved him but also propelled him so far? What exactly is he? Is he even a person? With a mixture of surprise and caution, Darui thought. How was that, Raikage? Dono? Are you satisfied? Naruto questioned, a tiny smirk on his lips. Kozo, don't act arrogant around me. As he pulled away from his two subordinates and started to mount a second assault, I cried out in exasperation. He began to cough up blood and involuntarily dropped to one knee in an attempt to gather himself. Raikage. Sana. How are you doing? As she frantically tried to help her leader stand again, Yugito was violently shoved off of him by the large man, who appeared to have recovered almost instantly and was standing as though nothing had happened. Hey, B. Brother. B, I'm doing great. I added in a menacing tone, and don't you dare interfere or I'll give you the Iron Claw. Hi, mate. Yes, Baba, go ahead and give that brazen brat a good clobber. I swear I won't bother you. Killer Bee exclaimed with excitement, bouncing up and down and making strange hand gestures while uttering strange rhymes. Sama, I don't mean to sound arrogant, but I don't think anyone should take on the Onikage without giving it their all. Despite his childlike appearance, he is still the Onikage, Darui remarked worriedly. I already know that. I yelled angrily as lightning struck, illuminating his body and creating what looked to be lightning. Enhanced armor all around him. What a great idea, Sama. That jutsu the Onikage used, it seems to be able to cause a great deal of damage both internally and externally. Sama's impenetrable skin was able to completely nullify the external damage, but his organs sustained internal damage. The lightning armor will act as a buffer to prevent the internal effects of that jutsu, and also Sama's already exceptional speed and reflexes will be exponentially greater. Since power is equal to velocity multiplied by mass, Sama's attacks will be exponentially more powerful too. We should see the end of the battle soon, Yugito thought in a confident manner. You have my utmost forgiveness for that past humiliation. Come on, Kozo. When Naruto fully activated his own chakra, which was so powerful and destructive that it destroyed the very ground he was standing on and caused cracks to open up all around the battlefield and trees in the surrounding forest to fall flat on the ground, I said angrily, almost faltering. This fight isn't going to be easy, Darui thought warily. No way. How does a kid like that have so much chakra? How does any human not named Sama have that kind of chakra? So you were still keeping part of your power hidden? Hey. Is that meant to frighten me? Never undervalue the Raikage. Using his lightning, fast footwork and lightning style Shunshin, I was able to outpace 99% of the human population with his speed as he charged straight towards the blonde Uzumaki. Not wasting any time at all, Naruto charged at the Raikage with his own Shunshin, both cages traveling at speeds that were inconceivably fast. Bolt your elbow. I cried out as he charged the blonde Uzumaki with a right-handed elbow attack. To his amazement, though, the blonde dodged the attack, quickly formed a Rasengan, and rammed it hard and quickly into the Raikage's chest, precisely where it had been before. The impact was loud and powerful, and the Raikage's increased speed made the force of the blow even stronger as he smashed into the Rasengan, combining that with the force Naruto applied to it. But this time was different, entirely different. While the Raikage was pushed back, that was the problem in and of itself. Unlike the previous time, when he was flung back like a ragdoll, this time he was pushed back. Indeed, it was a very strong push, pushing him back a good distance as he struggled to keep from being thrown away, his feet sinking into the ground until they were ankle deep. But this time, he was unharmed, neither internally nor externally, and he didn't require assistance from his allies to neutralize the attack on his own. Naruto thought warily, he tanked it. Unbelievable. Just what is this guy made of? Chakra-enhanced diamond. Hey. That's it then? Is that the only thing about your Rasengan? Then, it's not nearly as bad as your father's. Is it true that you are his son? I winked smugly and taunted. I'm still faster than you, and my claim is supported by the fact that I can use that jutsu on its own. Raikage. Dono, my being faster than you was the standard of proof for this duel. I can attest to that. It's over, Naruto declared with a dismissive sneer. Kozo, what did I say about putting too much stock in the Raikage? With a furious expression, I summoned even more chakra, an exponential amount more, and used it to destroy the ground he was standing on as well as several more trees. The power and magnitude of his chakra caused his lightning armor to increase exponentially in voltage and lightning, and even his hair started to point upward, defying gravity to the fullest. This man, what an incredible person. How powerful would he have become if he had been born in the Uzumaki clan? The thought itself is terrifying. Fuka thought to himself, What? He actually had another level to his Raiden no Yoroi? And these chakra levels, they're comparable to a Biju. Darui thought confidently, hey. Now it really is over. Sama is now firing from all cylinders. He has chakra and power that rivals the Biju right now. Micro Rasen Shuriken, Futon. With his right arm raised in the air, Naruto made a small Rasengan on his index finger, the wind blades whirling around it so fast that it made a screeching noise. This will definitely deal some damage, but I can't use a normal-sized Rasen Shuriken because the blast radius is too huge. If I used it here, it will affect not only our battle but also our lead guard and even the Chimera ant squads. Naruto reasoned. On the other hand, a normal Rasengan won't damage him, it probably won't even move him now. There is still progress like this occurring in the ninja world? Yugito thought in amazement. That jutsu may be small but it is definitely releasing much more potent and much more sinister chakra. He's taken even the fourth jutsu to a new level entirely. Darui considered this analytically. Even though the Onikage is extremely fast, he won't be able to keep up with Raikage. Sama's speed when he goes all out. Still, no matter how powerful a jutsu, it is useless if you cannot hit your target. Please come. What a brat. No matter what, I'm taking that Uzumaki woman. With a single glance, I teased Naruto, sending the Rasen Shuriken hurtling forward at a speed that would be impossible for most people to avoid. As I shifted to the side, thinking, HN. Is that it? He was shocked and surprised to see the Rasen Shuriken expand and then explode, creating a massive energy dome that sucked everything in its path. But as he had promised, the Raikage was not to be taken lightly because he managed to somehow, miraculously, avoid being drawn into the spiraling death trap. Then, in a scene straight out of a superhero movie, the Raikage appeared to be everywhere at once, moving so quickly that he was leaving after seeing images of himself everywhere as Naruto was ragdolled all over the battlefield like a pinball, with thunderous shockwaves enveloping the area and destroying everything in their wake. On the other side, Yugito and Killer Bee both activated their version 1 cloaks, while Darui hid behind his Black Lightning-style panther. This would continue for an additional 30 seconds before Naruto crashed into the earth, leaving a sizable crater behind as the ground trembled from the forceful landing. He succeeded. With excitement, Darui said, "It's time for my brother, the greatest of all time, to bury the Onikage." For him, this wasn't even a test, oh yeah. With excitement, Killer Bee answered, No Baka. Why does he constantly bring shame to the Onikage name?" And shortly after that, he also gained recognition on a global scale. With a slight shake of his head, Estes remarked, "Well, whatever, if he is defeated then it just means that he was too weak, that's all." Estes, who do you think you're fooling? You do believe that the strong survive and rule over the weak, and that the weak perish? If you believe Naruto Sama to be weak, then someone like you would never have chosen to follow him. But I believe that we both know the true nature of your feelings, don't we? Mei shot back. Why is this newbie talking down to me like they're wet behind the ears? Have I gotten to the point where even people like you believe you can talk down to me? With dismay, Estes said. All right, Estes. Chan. Mei. Chan may be new to all of this, but we both know that she is far from inexperienced. Fuka shot back, hell, she might even have more experience than you. Well, one has to always respect their elders, so I guess I can let it slide if an old hag like you talks down to me. Estes laughed as she replied. Why are you doing this? Now, Fuka Obaa. Chan, this is no time for infighting. I would expect someone with over 2 centuries of experience to know this better than anyone else. Estes responded quickly. That concludes it. Furiously, Fuka did not waver in her focus on her jutsu, the chakra chain barrier staying strong and functional as she leapt on Estes and strangled her with both hands. Mei put an end to the argument between the two dangerous women by saying, if you two keep playing around you'll miss the whole thing. Look, Naruto. Sama just got back up. The two then turned their attention back to the battlefield. You brat, this isn't over. Fuka muttered under her breath, and Estes just gave her a smirk in return. Estes chuckled, HN. You sure are pretty for an old hag, Fuka Obaa. Chan. Very remarkable, Raikage. Dono. You really do deserve to be called the Raikage. It's quite amazing to think that you would make me use the Chimera Toad Sage mode. Naruto stated earnestly, only 2 individuals who aren't bloodline members have ever made me want to give it my all. You and Uchiha Itachi, the genius of the Uchiha clan and a member of the S. Ranked threat level organization known as Akatsuki. This guy is really fast. My body and my eyes couldn't keep up with him at all. If it weren't for my enhanced senses, I wouldn't have been able to defend against his attacks and I could have even died, Naruto cautiously thought. Huh, no answer? I see. Are you surprised that I seem to have escaped without any injuries and that I'm still upright? Raikage. Dono, do not lose heart. True, you broke both my shins and my forearms while I was defending myself from your strikes, but the Uzumaki clan's strength comes from our extraordinary healing and regeneration abilities as well as our super durability. It's not for nothing that Uzushiogakure was dubbed the village of longevity. Given your family's fixation on our clan's bloodline limit, I'm surprised you were unaware of this, Naruto remarked. So that's what it is. Indeed, I was positive that I had broken his bones while he was defending himself, but it's ridiculous that he could defend himself against me at top speed. He didn't evade any of the blows, so all he could do was raise his guard in time. Now all I have to do is smash him until his guard breaks again and then finish him off, I determinedly thought. Hey, Sama. Exercise caution. Take a look at his eyes, the color and pattern have totally changed. I believe he possesses Dujutsu. Darui issued a warning. There have been other changes as well. His chakra levels have increased once more. It appears as though he has suddenly acquired more chakra. Additionally, his chakra is far stronger and more powerful than it was. Take caution, Sama. Yugito cried out. There is no Dujutsu in the Uzumaki clan, so I'm not sure where he got the extra chakra. I think he mentioned something earlier about a Chimera Toad Sage, so whatever that means, the pigmentation around his eyes and the shift in color of his eyes must be a sign that he has triggered this Sage mode. But it doesn't matter how strong he is. It's useless if he can't keep up with me. As he charged the blonde Uzumaki once more, I exclaimed in the end. This time, though, things were entirely different. In fact, the opposite happened as I was unable to keep up with Naruto's speed and was only able to barely raise his guard before Naruto punched and kicked through it, outpacing and overwhelming the Raikage. The Raikage then got the opportunity to experience what it was like to be thrown around the battlefield before being thrown straight to the ground, sending a massive shockwave through the area as the battlefield was once again completely rearranged. Well, Raikage. Dono, I suppose this is it for you on the line. I see it in your eyes, you despise me, don't you? You think I'm horrible? At the Raikage, whose face and body appeared as though they had been used as a piñata at an Akatsuki member's birthday, Naruto spoke, his eyes nearly swollen shut and his face inflated like a balloon. Well done. Excellent work, Raikage. Dono. You now understand how we, the remaining members of the Uzumaki clan, feel about Kumogakure, Kirigakure, and Iwagakure, whose combined might senselessly attacked and decimated our people of peace. You now understand our feelings toward Konoha, who, in spite of everything we had done for them, had betrayed us in our hour of greatest need. You now understand what it's like to lose, to be degraded, and to feel helpless and vulnerable in the face of your adversaries. Raikage. Dono, it doesn't feel good, does it? Just for good measure, Naruto punched the undefended Raikage in the torso, breaking every bone in his body and rendering him unable to move an inch. This vicious and sadistic deed incited the Raikage's elite guard, who simply would not stand by any longer. Raikage's orders be damned. Darui used his Black Lightning, Black Panther Jutsu, Killer Bee and Yugito transformed into their version two-tailed beast states, and the three of them attacked the Onikage simultaneously, with Naruto leaping far back just in time to avoid their combined attack. Hey! It was very nearly there. Naruto sincerely praised his opponents, saying, "You guys are faster than I thought." Well, I suppose I should expect nothing less from a Black Lightning-style user and the well-trained and super-talented Jinchuriki of Kumogakure no Sato. Yes, that was incredibly quick. That they are the Raikage's tag team partners, I suppose, makes sense. It appears that having unmatched strength and speed is essential to becoming both the Raikage and his elite guard. These Kumogakure ninja are quite impressive and dangerous, but what a bunch of brutes they are. Their speed prevents the enemy from creating hand seals, and what are you supposed to do if you can't create hand seals? Mei remarked thoughtfully. You piece of shit newbie, why did you stop me from aiding Naruto? Sama? That's a more pertinent question than applauding the enemy. Estese questioned angrily. Estese, Naruto. Sama gives orders that are unchangeable, and he is not weak enough to die quickly. Why does a novice know this better than you, idiot? Fuka teased Estese, making her grit her teeth in annoyance and fury. Fuka thought compassionately, I know how you feel, Estese, and in many ways, you're more naive than the rest of us despite what you have been through. You have never thought about anything except battle since you were young, and now that you have developed these strong emotions for Naruto. Sama, you have no idea how to deal with them because of your lack of experience. However, you have to grit and bear it, you have to trust in Naruto. Sama. Plus, are you forgetting that this is just a blood clone? Well, I don't blame you, blood clone or not, it's still Naruto. Sama, right? I know how you feel, just endure it, Fuka said. We apologize, but we are ninja, your elite ninja, Sama. We cannot allow our beloved Raikage to pass away in this manner because a ninja never lets his feelings influence his decision making. Whether you like it or not, we're interfering in your duel and taking you home because Kumogakure needs their Raikage. When we get home, we'll accept whatever punishment you think appropriate, Yugito declared, picking up the Raikage and placing him in a piggyback fashion on her back. Hey? That's peculiar. How can you claim that you can't let your feelings influence your decision making while simultaneously disobeying your leader's orders and referring to him as your beloved Raikage? Are you certain that your actions aren't motivated more by emotion than by duty? Naruto inquired, arching an eyebrow. We were Sama's bodyguards when we arrived at the Kage summit. Would we really be bodyguards if we didn't fight to keep him safe? To me, we are just doing what it says on the job, which is to keep the Raikage safe at all costs, Yugito shot back. Well, I guess you're right. What happens next? Do you also want to fight me? With genuine curiosity, Naruto asked. If it's necessary. That is entirely up to you. Are you going to follow us? Will you obstruct our efforts to bring Sama back to Kumogakure no Sato in a safe manner? With tense eyes narrowing dangerously at the fair-haired Uzumaki, Yugito asked. Well, no, you guys can leave, I said. But I also want to give you a warning and ask you to seriously consider what you can do to make up to Onigakure for what you did here today when you get home. I will personally descend upon you and wipe out every living thing in Kumogakure, including the trees, animals, and grass, if something similar occurs again and any Kumogakure shinobi attacks any Onigakure shinobi without a valid reason. One freebie is all you get. The next time something similar occurs, Konoha has had theirs, and so have you. Naruto withdrew with malice, leaving the Kumo contingent to fill in the details on their own. By your leave then, Onikage. Dono. Yugito said, muttering curses to herself for not being able to control the slight stutter in her voice. Nevertheless, she quickly left the area as soon as the Onikage nodded, confirming her statement. She didn't even try to persuade B and Darui to follow her lead because she knew they would be forced to do so regardless of what they personally desired. Yugito thought, there is no other choice, we have to retreat. The men of the Yatsuki clan are stubborn and prideful, heck even the women are, but most important to them is the Raikage's safety and well-being. Darui, I know how you feel, I know all you want to do is to shut the Onikage's loud mouth, but I also know that you won't leave Sama's side, so swallow your pride and follow my lead for now. There is no other choice, we have to retreat, Yugito said, and as she believed, she felt Killer B and Darui closing in on her. It seems that the current Uzumaki clan will not make that mistake. They seek peace, but are prepared for war. They are indeed the most dangerous people in the elemental nations right now. Killer B thought warily. So that's the true power of the Uzumaki clan? Super durability, super healing and regeneration, superior physical potential. High and dense chakra levels. You've got to be kidding me, right? The Uzumaki clan have bodies designed to be the ultimate warriors. How were they even defeated? Was it their peace-loving ways that made them weak? It has to be right? Perhaps they didn't fight enough? More significantly, despite the Hokage's assertion that the boy is a Jinchuriki, I couldn't detect the presence of the Nine Tails in him at all. The Hokage wouldn't lie about losing the Nine Tails, in my opinion, unless she wanted to provoke an attack from the other villages and spark a conflict. It would be pointless to appear weak. She isn't the kind to do that, in my opinion. It raises the question, where are the Nine Tails at this moment? Given that Uzumaki Naruto lost his 9 tails, how is he still alive? Is that a fake or even the real Uzumaki Naruto? The 8-tailed beast, Yuki, questioned dutifully. I'm not sure. It should be dead on him if it was taken out of him. Given his capacity for regeneration and healing, I wouldn't be shocked if he lived. Furthermore, based on the information I've gathered, the Bloodline organization was well known for gathering bloodline limits. In fact, I'm positive I overheard him command his Chimera ants to retrieve the bodies of the Tsuchikage and his elite guard. B shot back, so maybe he was able to molecularly change and reorganize his DNA so he could survive an extraction. Fascinating. That may very well be the case, in fact. It remains a mystery, though, one that must be resolved. Gyuki retorted, it still doesn't tell us who extracted the 9 tails, if it was extracted at all, and where he is at this moment. I understand that you're worried because he's your brother, but I'm afraid I'm not able to check into that at this time. Okay, let's talk later. Killer B answered. Attractive enough. Later on, then, Gyuki answered, fading back into Killer B's thoughts. That Uzumaki Naruto, he really is a dangerous one. I've never heard B talk for so long without rhyming. He must really be shaken by today's events, Gyuki thought worriedly. Well, that was enjoyable and interesting. Yes, dangerous, but also enjoyable. How fair are you now, my dear Chimera ants? As he concentrated on what was going on with the Chimera squads, Naruto thought aloud. Shayapuf cried out, "Halt!" As he suddenly materialized in front of the Tsuchikage and his guard, Yuppie, Mosquito, and Bat in the blink of an eye, his right arm outstretched, hand shaped like a stop sign. Wary, Kuretsuchi asked, "W. What the hell are these things, Gigi?" In confusion. Hear me, lowly humans. I'm Commander Shayapuf of the Chimera Ant Royal Flying Squad. We are the honorable summons of Naruto. Sama, our esteemed god. We have been given permission to eradicate you should you refuse to obey, so I urge you, please. Please refuse to stand down. Please attempt to advance and attack our esteemed god Naruto. Sama. So that we may eradicate you. Shayapuf then trailed off in a malicious tone, his eyes piercing with hate, disgust, and murderous intent. Hey. Mosquito thought, I should have known that Commander Shayapuf would say something like that, unsure of how to react to her commander's bizarre carrying out of Naruto. Sama's orders, amused or embarrassed? Menthuthu asked angrily, adding fuel to the fires Shayapuf had just lit in the hearts and minds of the Tsuchikage and his crew. Ha ha ha. Nice one, Shayapuf. You guys, are you really going to let him talk down to you like that? Almost completely out of control, Kuretsuchi yelled, Gigi. Give the order now. Surely you're not going to let a bunch of ants talk to us like that, are you? Ants? Were they really referring to themselves as ants? Onoki wondered how these creatures could possibly recognize themselves as ants. Well, the leader of their small group did have butterfly wings and antennae on his head, but those weren't ant wings. Butterflies don't have wings, and the man appeared to be entirely human aside from the wings and antennae. Aside from her bat. Like features, the other girl also appeared human, and the last Onoki checked, bats and ants were not the same species. In fact, bats are just bats, not insects or arachnids. He refused to even approach the red-skinned man since it was obvious that he wasn't an ant species. The other girl, well, everything about her screamed insect, but he could tell that something human was going on there from her facial features and her womanly curves. Though she was still not an ant, Onoki thought she kind of looked like a mosquito. Onoki was, to put it mildly, bewildered, extremely confused. He played mind games, which was the best thing he could have done in that situation, but he didn't have time to think about such things, especially with the enemy in front of them. This man insect was in for a surprise if he believed he would control the conversation's tempo. Although Onoki did let his pride and emotions get the better of him once or twice in his lifetime, it is evident that he had no idea who he was playing with because Onoki did not live this long. At the sound of that, the commander of the Royal Flying Squad appeared to be bursting at the seams with pent-up anger and frustration, having hoped that his ploy to antagonize the Tsuchikage would have caused them to attack, thereby giving him the authority to deal with them as he saw fit, that is, to completely wipe them off of the surface of the earth. HN. What are you talking about, granddaughter? Of course I'm going to let them get away with it. Why on earth would I even entertain the ramblings of an ant? Surely this subhuman species cannot possibly be worthy of our attention, the Tsuchikage retorted while launching a stiff jab at their potential opponents. Yuppie taunted, hey. Ha ha ha. This old man saw right through you, man. What are you going to do now, Commander? Do you dare break Naruto Sama's orders and attack them anyway? Shayapuf gave Yuppie a death stare straight out of the depths of hell, but he remained silent and did not move to attack him, even though his expression said everything he was thinking about the ferocious Chimera ant at that precise moment. Bat yelled angrily, you idiot. Don't antagonize the commander like that. Just whose side are you on anyway? Yuppie shot back, causing the ant crew to fall silent in the face of his brutal honesty. I'm on your side, stupid. However, unlike our dear old commander here, I don't try to think beyond the orders that I am given. I trust Naruto Sama to make the right call at all times, unlike this fool who thinks that he is actually smarter than Kami Sama himself. Oh no, Yuppie. What a great way to destroy the team's spirit. Yes, everything he says is completely true. Poof's ego and intelligence have become his victims. He always believes he is right, and without even realizing it, he is continuously trying to find ways to get around Naruto Sama's commands in order to undermine them. More than anyone else, he worships, loves, and idolizes Naruto Sama. However, his toxic personality has twisted even that love, as he loves and idolizes Naruto Sama for what he believes him to be, rather than for who he truly is. Mosquito considered this with analytical thought. Onoki, Han, and Karachuchi chuckled at the expense of the Chimera ants as Roshi questioned sarcastically, "Are you guys sure you came here for us? Did you really come all the way here just to fight amongst yourselves? What are you, children? How old are you anyway?" Sheapoof appeared as though he was actually going to burst right then and there. This is definitely not going as planned. "Hello, Kami. What transgression have I made against you that warrants this kind of penalty? Why did you give us an order that was so timid? It was supposed to be you who gave the order to destroy our enemies. Why? Why subject me to such humiliation?" Sheapoof's thoughts were interrupted when he heard a loud impact from the surface. He turned around with his flying squad and saw their worst nightmare. Their beloved god collapsed on his back with a massive creator surrounding his body, broken and seemingly defeated, the Raikage triumphantly standing over him. Naruto. Sama, Kami. Sama. The four ants cried out in disbelief, terror, and shock at what they were actually witnessing. "Naruto. Sama. We have to go help him. We cannot allow our god to perish at the hands of a lowly human." Sheapoof shrieked. Mosquito stammered, But what about our orders?" Sheapoof cried, "Orders be damned. We'll take whatever punishment we have to take for disobeying orders later, even if it means we'll be executed for insubordination." As he attempted to fly in the direction of his god, but Yuppie suddenly changed shape and reached out his arm to grab Poof by the ankle and prevent him from making a serious error. Poof growled, "What are you doing, Yuppie?" Much to everyone's relief, Yuppie exclaimed, "Wait, you foolish commander. Look, he's getting up. And he is not injured. He's about to get serious, he was just feeling out the opponent, that's all." "I see. Stop embarrassing us and yourself and start acting like a true commander. Our job is to prevent these pathetic humans from interfering, that's all there is to it." Yuppie rebuked his superior. Sheapoof remarked, "I can't believe I'm being reprimanded by a simpleton such as you. But, you're right." He was even more shocked by his own ineptitude and lack of reason than he was by Yuppie's intelligence and decision-making abilities. That did not, however, mean that he would no longer follow Naruto's battle, even if he had to split his attention between following the Tsuchikage and his beloved god's battle, since one cannot suddenly transform into someone else. In actuality, he was unable to bear the idea of losing Naruto Sama to that vicious Kumo ninja, or to anyone else for that matter, especially if it occurred while he was powerless to stop it. Such a loss would have completely destroyed him on all levels, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and even physically. Luckily for him, their god won, and won spectacularly too, beating the savage Raikage at his own game by overwhelming him with raw power and lightning fast speed. It would be a grave understatement to say that Poof was happy with the way his god carried himself as well as the outcome. Although he was disappointed that Naruto Sama had let them escape, Poof felt a warmth and pleasure that he could hardly remember having felt before when he saw the Raikage and his henchmen fleeing from his god with their tails between their legs and the Raikage defenseless and unable to move an inch of his body. Yes, he was happy, incredibly happy. "Hey. Would you look at that? The Raikage is running away with his tail between his legs. Hey. Serves him right." Yuppie burst into laughter. "Yuppie, it's true that he is served right," Poof said menacingly. "Now, Tsuchikage. Dono, what will you do, I wonder? One of your allies has been defeated and has deserted the battlefield, whereas we on the other hand remain strong and unharmed. At least the Raikage was brave enough to give it his best shot. Do you have the courage and self-confidence to match Lord Raikage, O great fence-sitter?" Sheapoof replied dismissively. With a cold smirk, Onoki said, "You insects don't have much in the way of ninja experience, do you? If you did, you would know that in the ninja world, courage is not a prerequisite in order to destroy your enemies." All four of the Royal Flying Squad members suddenly found themselves completely trapped and surrounded by a cube made of raw white and transparent energy. Their eyes widened in shock. Onoki cried out, "Particle release, atomic dismantling jutsu." As the cube shrank to the size of a cube and began to do as its name implied, that is, to completely destroy adversaries at the molecular level, leaving no evidence at all of their existence. At least it worked on Sheapoof, but the other members of the Flying Squad had other ideas. They all effortlessly vanquished Onoki's jutsu, which was previously believed to be impossible. They each accomplished it in a different way, utilizing their special abilities and divinely endowed gifts, naturally, Naruto included. Yuppie possessed the special ability to enlarge his body by surrounding himself with explosive chakra that would eventually burst outward, reducing him to half his original size but eradicating all of his adversaries in the process. Alternatively put, a 360 attack. By using this power, Yuppie was able to completely dispel the jutsu and prevent the cube from shrinking any further. However, Bat used her sound and vibration release to dispel the atomic dismantling cube. She did this by releasing a strong wave of vibrations around her that were precisely at the frequency needed to destroy the wood. B. Dismantling jutsu. And lastly, the mosquito. For her, it was less about breaking down the jutsu and more about absorbing it. She used the summing jutsu to call forth thousands of tiny mosquitoes that are experts at absorbing chakras. The mosquitoes drained the jutsu of all of its chakra, causing it to crumble into nothingness. Since they had never seen anyone handle the particle release in that way before, Onoki and his team were naturally taken aback by what they were witnessing and couldn't believe what they were seeing. But before any of them could even fully process that knowledge, the 3 Chimera ants that were left launched an offensive, traveling at speeds that Onoki and his group could not even begin to match. It took place in a split second. The 3 of them successfully and efficiently killed the entire Tsuchikage platoon squad. Yuppie transformed his arms into 2 razor sharp tendrils and speared both Kuretsuchi and Onoki right through the chest before they could even blink. Mosquito used her super speed to close the distance between herself and Han, slicing Han's head clean off his shoulders with one of her twin hooks. And Bat used her sound release to coat her hand with chakra that was vibrating at incredible decibels, making her hand exponentially sharper than a spear and a sword as she stabbed Roshi in the chest. Their triumph was short. Lived though, as the 3 of them noticed that the wounds were no longer leaking blood but rather soil, and the bodies were crumbling into dust and debris. The flying squad was understandably shocked and incensed by this event, but what worried them the most was that they, the elite royal flying squad, were clueless as to why or how the Tsuchikage platoon squad had replaced themselves with rock clones. As Bat attempted to locate the Tsuchikage and his team using her sound release, vibration radar technique, she thought to herself, impossible. How is it possible that I of all people didn't detect the execution of both the particle release and the replacement rock clones? Disbelieving that her chakra senses had failed her, Mosquito cried out in shock, "Forget about you. How did I not notice any of this?" Yuppie yelled angrily, "Forget about that. More importantly, where the hell are they now? I can't find them, and it isn't a barrier either. Unlike a chakra sensor, I can detect people even from within a chakra cloaking barrier with my vibration radar. They're not here, they aren't anywhere near where we are." Bat responded. "What? Are you fucking with me right now, Teme? How did they use such high-level techniques like the particle release or the Tsuchi Bunshin without being within our range?" Yuppie was incredulous. "It's actually pretty easy," said Sheapoof, their commander, whose voice they had all assumed they would never hear again. They turned around quickly to see Sheapuff's floating head, which appeared to be self-regenerating. Naturally. How could I not have known he would make it through? Mosquito pondered, realizing how completely out of step the Tsuchikage and his group had put her and her allies if such basic concepts were being discussed without hesitation. If you were familiar with Sheapuff's abilities, explaining his survival would not be too difficult. He had the extraordinary talent of being able to break down and reconstruct his own cells at the molecular level, or, to put it another way, to divide into several molecules. Sized clones of himself and then reassemble himself into his original form. Naturally, then, a jutsu that dimmed things and people at the molecular level could never really kill him, since all he would have to do was disassemble and then reassemble himself, and then everything would be well. Yuppie exclaimed excitedly, "You're alive? Hey. Good for you, I was just about to take your position as commander of the Royal Flying Squad." Sheapoof shook his head, disgusted at the idea of leaving his squad in the care of such a simpleton. "More importantly, could you elaborate on what you were saying, Commander? How is any of this simple?" Bat responded with disbelief. The particle release was a time-lapsing jutsu, set to activate at a specific point in time or at the command of the user. The distance of the user is irrelevant because the chakra for the jutsu has already been expanded before the user got out of range, and before you ask, the reason we didn't notice is because the jutsu was executed when we got distracted. Sheapoof clarified. Yuppie argued, "The hell are you on about? I was never distracted. We all were distracted, stupid. When the Raikage put Naruto Sama on his back, we allowed our emotions to get in the way. The commander tried to run to Naruto. Sama's aid and you tried to stop him. We were all distracted as a result, and that gave them the opportunity to set up the jutsu. Mosquito responded much to the dismay of Yuppie and Bat. B. But if they already set up the jutsu then why did they retreat? Why did they replace themselves with Tsuchi Bunshins? How were they supposed to attack Naruto? Sama from out of range? Bat looked perplexed. Easy. The answer is that they didn't in fact retreat at that moment. They remained where they were, planning to use the particle release to instantly kill us and advance on Naruto. Sama without hindrance as soon as the right opportunity presented itself. However, when Naruto Sama triumphed over the Raikage and the Raikage retreated with his team, they realized that the competitive advantage they would have had of 8 versus 4 was no longer attainable and that fighting Naruto Sama and his team 4 vs 4 would be too much of a risk. Sheapoof clarified. So they retreated by replacing themselves with rock clones. Once again we were distracted by our celebration of Naruto Sama's victory, and they took advantage of that momentary lapse in concentration to act with precision and efficiency. Of course, they still wanted to land a blow on Naruto Sama, so they didn't cancel the particle release and hoped to at least kill the 4 of us for their troubles. Sheapoof ended his account. With hands on his head in exasperation, Yuppie angrily exclaimed, so basically, all of this happened because of our incompetence? It is 100% our fault? You've got to be kidding me. How can we possibly be so useless? He wondered how on earth he was supposed to face Naruto Sama now that he had represented him so poorly. With Yuppie's words hitting them like a freight train going full speed, not because they were harsh or cruel, but rather because they were so true, the others were not faring much better. Nothing is more painful to a person than the truth. Your words have no meaning and will not affect the person to whom they are addressed as much if they are untrue, regardless of how harsh or cruel they may be. However, their impact becomes even more devastating if they are true, if the words are nothing more than the most sincere and honest version of the truth. As he started to fly down towards their god with his squad close behind, the Royal Flying Squad's morale was at an all-time low. Sheapoof said somberly, his body fully restored. I have failed Naruto Sama as commander of this unit. I will tender in my resignation and accept whatever punishment our Lord and Creator deems fit. Come, let us go and confess our sins. In the interim, Tsuchikage and squad. Kuratsuchi exclaimed, surprised and angry at the same time. You've got to be fucking kidding me. I can't believe those bastard ants survived our particle release trap. How could this possibly happen? Han shot his retractable telescope at the Princess of Iwagakure, saying, come see for yourself if you don't believe me. The telescope was violently thrown back at Han's face, but he was grateful that his reflexes allowed him to catch it before it smashed into his face. Since Kuratsuchi and her grandfather were the ones who created the particle release trap, she angrily exclaimed, I don't want to see that shit. Han seemed to be putting her and her grandfather's failures in her face by giving her the opportunity to see for herself. Han, I expect you to provide me with a full report detailing how exactly they managed to survive our particle release trap when we get back home. Even if you don't quite understand the ability used, give me as best a description as you can. This information will be vital for the next time we encounter those creatures. It has become clear that the brat cannot be defeated without first going through his beasts. Ordered Onoki. Han said in a humble way, as you wish, Onoki. Sama. So there will be a next time then? Is it really wise to go after the Uzumaki brat? If we couldn't defeat him when he was out in the wilderness, isolated from his fortress and the rest of his comrades, what chance do we have of defeating him in Onikage no Sado? We don't even know the landscape of Demon Country, much less the location and logistics of Onigakure no Sado. Moreover, his people will no doubt throw themselves in between us and the Onikage. We'll have to go through all of them just to get to him. How many of our people will have to die to get that far? Can we even get that far? Roshi questioned the Tsuchikage's strategies. What are you saying exactly, Roshi? Are you saying that you want us to allow the son of the Yellow Flash to live and thrive while we do nothing about it? Do you want to explain that to our people, huh? What do you think they will say or do when they find out, and trust me they will find out, that the son of that bastard Yellow Flash is alive and has his own ninja village, and we aren't doing jack shit about it? Will you stand before them and explain that you won't get revenge for our people because you're scared? Kuretsuchi responded with a mixture of disdain and, "Our people are safe, our people are thriving. They're doing just fine. Isn't that enough? Aren't they tired of losing loved ones to that man and his bloodline?" Roshi responded, "You must be growing senile in your old age, Roshi. What you don't understand is that every man, woman, girl, boy, and child would gladly stab and remove their own eye if it meant getting revenge on the Yellow Flash. Needless to say, they would gladly give their own lives if it meant ending that cursed bloodline." Han replied, "Then let us give them a choice. You say that they will find out about Naruto even if we try to hide this information, right? Then, let us tell them the truth without trying to influence them. Let us lay it all out on the table and let them decide." Roshi begged. "I was planning to do that anyway, stupid. As soon as we arrive I will call for a village assembly and tell them everything that happened. I'll also make sure that every ninja and citizen understands the pros and cons of going to war with Onikage. I'll make sure they understand that we would be facing the risk of eradication if we lost, and in fact even if we win. And then I'll let them decide by way of vote. Everyone's vote will be kept confidential so as to make sure that no one is influenced by the loud voices of a small minority. We'll make sure everyone has a voice in this matter," explained Onoki. "You must really be rattled if you're going this far. You're taking him even more seriously than you took the Yellow Flash." Han responded, "Of course I am. The last time I underestimated a Namikaze my village was almost eradicated by one man. I won't make that mistake again, especially when the Namikaze have combined their blood with the Uzumaki," replied Onoki. Kuretsuchi asked warily, sensing without her father having to say so that an alliance would need to be formed in order to defeat Onigakure. "But Gigi, do you think the Raikage will want to form an alliance with us after what happened? What if what happened makes him not want to anger the Namikaze brat?" Kuretsuchi asked warily. To Kuretsuchi's dismay, which Han noticed, Onoki spoke confidently, "On the contrary, my dear granddaughter, what happened to the Raikage may in fact be a blessing in disguise. Before his battle with Naruto, I was 90% certain that any offer of an alliance by me would have been rejected by the Raikage. But after this, I'm 95% certain that my offer will be accepted. You must understand, Kuretsuchi. The Raikage has an unbreakable will. He is unyielding and unrelenting, and he does not know the meaning of the word, fear. Even when the Yellow Flash had a flee on-sight order on him, the Raikage was the only man in the world who continued to challenge him time after time. The flee on-sight order and the fear that everyone had at the mere mention of that guy's name did not apply to the Raikage. As for the youngest member of the group, Kuretsuchi could not help but think of how amazing and brave the Raikage was and what a strong-willed individual he was. Han explained, of course, he lost every time he and his brother confronted the Yellow Flash, but that did not deter him one bit. So you see, you need not worry about the Raikage's will to fight. I bet you right now he is already planning out his next encounter with the Namikaze brat. I suppose there is no need to ask about the Mizukage. That guy really hates the Onikage. Well, I can't blame him, he killed his father after all. Kuretsuchi said aloud. The Mizukage's participation is as good as secured. Speaking of which, how did he fare against the Namikaze brat's monsters, Han? Onoki was intrigued. Same as us. The ants were distracted the same as the ones we faced. They used a water prison trap to set them up, and used water clones to conceal their retreat. The ants were able to escape the water prison trap, but the Mizukage was already long gone. Han responded robotically. Smart lad. I was a little concerned about how useful he would be because of his youth and his obvious desire for revenge. But perhaps the lad has a good head on his shoulders after all. Onoki responded. Onoki gave the order, okay, it's time to go home. This is no place to hold a war council. We've done all we can here. Head out. As he and his squad vanished in a flash, all four of them taking off quickly after holding the entire discussion in midair. Resuming the Onikage. In this instance, it would be an exaggeration to say that Naruto was disappointed. He wasn't let down at all. In fact, everything had transpired precisely as he had anticipated. He had anticipated that the Chimera ants would accomplish their goal of halting his enemy's progress, but he had also anticipated that the cunning and deceitful ninja techniques would catch them off guard. He had even anticipated their response to the circumstances. In other words, he wasn't shocked or disappointed. Pito said, her tone and expression heartbreaking, like a kitten whose owner had just kicked it in the ribs. I don't understand, Naruto. Sama. Are you saying that you expected us to fail? That you never believed in us from the get-go? Pito and her squad were all on their knees, presenting themselves to their god. She was standing beside Shyapov, who was likewise bending down before his god, a meter ahead of them, and his squad was following suit, a meter behind him. Oh, I believe in you, all right. I believe you have the potential to be the most amazing summons in the universe. You're already the most powerful, but you're not the most experienced summoning species. It's no surprise really, you're less than 7 years old, so when it comes to experience, you're far behind the rest of the ninja world and summoning world. The ninjas you face today are not only elite ninja with much more experience than you, but they have also benefited from generations of shinobi knowledge and tactics that have been passed down throughout the centuries. Naruto continued, taking a moment to let the ants to process what was said. The fact that you all survived is the most important thing, because now you have first-hand experience about what it means to face off against an elite ninja with killing intent. No amount of sparring can make up for the real deal. I'm hoping to avoid it, but war seems to be the inevitable outcome between me and the 5 Kage nations, and that means it is an inevitable outcome for you as well. Naruto spoke words of consolation and encouragement to his brethren, and boy did they work. He could actually feel the mood shift because of his emotion-sensing ability. Therefore, by summoning you today, I hope to give you that first-hand ninja experience in preparation for the war, but if you died then all of that would have been for nothing. You survived, and therefore have the opportunity to use the experience and knowledge you gained to improve yourselves. That is, believe it or not, something to celebrate. I am confident that things will be different next time, if not else, the Chimera ants are fast learners. Great Kami. Sama, please forgive me, for I have sinned. My faith was once again shaken by your orders, and I even dared to doubt your credibility as our god because of the orders that you gave us. I lost faith in you, and my lack of faith is the direct cause for creating the opening that the Tsuchikage and his platoon squad exploited. I am unworthy of being commander of the Royal Flying Squad. Naruto. Sama, please select a new commander for the Royal Flying Squad, and accept my head as recompense for my sins. Shayapoof sighed. No such thing will happen, you stupid fool. Do you honestly think Naruto, Sama or any of us got to where we are because we didn't make mistakes? Because we didn't embarrass ourselves at any point? Because we didn't feel a sense of shame and uselessness at any point? Fuka yelled. Fuka said harshly but truthfully, the road to perfection is littered with failure and disappointment. It is a road full of pain and heartache. But that is exactly what you need in order to grow and evolve. Learning from your mistakes and failures, and growing from your pain and disappointment is how one attains true shinobi prowess. Are you so weak and pathetic that you would commit suicide at the first sign of trouble? Because if so, then you really were never worthy of Naruto. Sama to begin with. Poof's eyes widened in shock at the realization that he was a complete and utter idiot and weakling, vowing to never embarrass himself or his god in such a way again. Fuka. Sama, I understand. Thank you. I will take your words to heart. I vow to never show my back again, no matter the circumstances. I will become the leader that the Royal Flying Squad deserves, and I will become the true and faithful servant that our god deserves, Poof uttered, his mind and heart simultaneously growing with newfound respect and appreciation for the Bloodline members. To be completely honest, Poof detested the Bloodline members more than anything or anybody in the world up until this very moment. He hated everything about them because he thought the Chimera ants and their king should have had everything they had, since he thought the Chimera ants were superior to the lowly bloodline humans. He also hated how much love and trust Naruto, Sama had for them, and how they served as the first line of defense against Naruto, Sama's enemies. But now he realized that perhaps not all of what he had believed was real. These bloodline members were angels, not at all like us humble humans. The bloodline members had to be the angels by their god's side if the Chimera ants were their servants and Naruto, Sama was their deity. Poof could not have understood it more clearly at this precise moment, the sheer wisdom and knowledge this lady angel had just bestowed upon him, her experience and mental toughness, her grace and beauty, and the fact that she was trusted and respected by Naruto. Sama. If not an angel, what else might she be? For the first time in his brief life, Poof realized how naive and ignorant he was, and he also realized how much more learning and development lay ahead of him. He had foolishly and conceitedly refused to consider the possibility that the Chimera ants were in any way flawed or inadequate, believing that to even consider such a possibility would be a sign of weakness. But he now understood that in order to grow, learn from, and overcome a weakness, one must honestly and critically examine oneself in order to pinpoint its location. There was no other path to actual perfection. Naruto sternly remarked, "I'll hold you to those words, Poof." Poof exclaimed, humble yet resolute, "Hi. Kami. Sama. Please do. He's learning at last. This is beneficial." Naruto concluded that calling him and his team in for this confrontation was a wise decision. Naruto asked, addressing all of the Chimera ants in addition to Poof, "Very well. Are there any questions or inquiries?" Naruto gave the order, "In that case, you may be dismissed." The entire Assassination Squad and Flying Squad saluted in unison before canceling the summoning technique and teleporting back to the Chimera ant summoning village. Afterwards, the land of rivers. With a voice that was far from his true voice but was necessary to keep him under wraps, Sasori said, "I never expected the Ichibi Jinchuriki to be traveling with the Hokage and her lead guard." He was high above the ground, so high in fact that he was unable to see the people they were pursuing and had to use Deidara's prosthetic eye enhancement to follow them. To fly, they were using Deidara's clay hawks, which he had fashioned for Sasori and himself. "Curious," Deidara said, "do you think that they knew that we were coming, It's not impossible, but extremely unlikely. The more likely reason for this is that the discussions at the Kage Summit must have rattled the Konoha Suna alliance. With Onigakure no Sato, the Uzumaki clan, the bloodline, and Uzumaki Naruto himself announcing themselves to the world, a series of ripples or even waves have undoubtedly been triggered. War seems a likely scenario, and if war is about to break out, then it seems reasonable to assume that the enemy would attempt to take out the Ichibi Jinchuriki in order to weaken the Konoha Suna alliance. Sasori responded. You know you might be onto something, Sasori no Dana, HN. Now that Uzumaki Naruto has revealed himself, Konoha can no longer use the threat of unleashing the most powerful Biju on their enemies, and if the Ichibi is also taken out, then the demise of the Konoha Suna alliance would be almost guaranteed. Still, this is a problem for us, HN. What do we do now, Dana? Do we retreat or do we wait for the Konoha team to leave Suna? Deidara was both curious and worried. Neither. We must attack them right now. The numbers are again at us, but in the next 24 hours our target will reach Tsunade no Sato, where you will have an endless supply of sand. It will be more difficult to take him out in his own home ground. Sasori disagreed. Retorting, Deidara asked, "So we must attack them before they leave the land of rivers, HN?" Precisely. But we must have a carefully planned and tactical approach. After all, two of our enemies are the legendary Sannin, one is the legendary copy ninja, and they have that strange taijutsu user who can use the celestial gates. Defeating them would be tough even if the Ichibi and his team wasn't with them. Sasori said with an air of graveness. Deidara asked with excitement, "You make a valid point, I have to admit, Dana. So what do you have in mind, HN? Send a clay clone ahead to the border of the Riverlands, have it set up an elaborate and impregnable minefield. We must not allow them to reach Suna no matter what. We'll wait until they rest in the evening before we attack them. The cover of darkness works better with my fighting style, that is to say, assuming I will be even needed." Sasori responded with disapproval. "The fuck did you just say, HN? You expect me to fight all of these powerful guys on my own? Are you an idiot or just plain lazy, HN?" Deidara responded with disbelief. "Your attacking style is best suited for mass demolition and destruction. Killing a multitude of enemies in a single attack is your speciality. We'll have you drop your C3 bomb on them. No matter what their abilities are, I expect your C3 bomb to eliminate at least half of them and severely injure the rest. I'm counting on the Ichibi being part of the injured list, which will make it easier for us to take him. Also, the explosion should also serve to separate them from each other. If we can isolate the Ichibi, then all the better for us." Sasori clarified. Deidara shot back, "I see. Well, damn, you should have led with that from the beginning, HN." With excitement. "Curb your excitement until after we have captured the Ichibi. Now hurry up and make your preparations. I have my own preparations to make." Sasori grumbled. Deidara exclaimed, "You got it, Dana." With even more vigor, obviously ignoring Sasori's advice to tone down his enthusiasm. That night, Tsunade spoke up as she and her allies kept running quickly through the land of rivers. Is everyone okay? If you're struggling, please speak up. I intend for us to travel throughout the evening and only rest in the morning. If you won't be able to make it, or if you will but will be completely drained by morning, then please speak up. You'll be useless in a battle if you are too drained to fight. Don't underestimate us, Hokage. Sama. I know you spoke out on behalf of Tamari and I. We aren't the snot-nosed genin you met shortly after the Chunin exams all those years ago. Kankuru responded with an assured smirk. Tsunade cheekily shot back, that's good to hear. I'll hold you to those words, Kankuru. As he and the other members of the Konoha Suna team abruptly stopped, Kakashi exclaimed, Tsunade. Sama. There's something in the sky falling directly towards us. There is chakra in it, it must be some kind of jutsu. I'll handle it. Exclaimed Gaara as he launched his sand after the object, hoping to catch it before it got to the team and accomplishing his objective in the process. It was a fleeting success, though, as the object suddenly and dramatically increased in size with a puff of smoke. The Konoha Suna team could no longer even see the stars in the sky due to the object's exponential growth. It was becoming so large that they would not have been able to escape, no matter how quickly, before being crushed under the weight of the object. Why? You've got to be kidding me. We won't be able to. The Kage calmly stated, as I said before, I've got it under control. He then interrupted his older brother before he could finish speaking, sending all of the sand up there to catch and stop the enormous structure from crushing them all like insects, even though it required much more work this time around as he clasped his hands together in concentration. Tsunade exclaimed, He did it. Well done, Kage. With appreciation. The job is not done yet. I need to send some of my sand into the ground in order to break it down and create more sand. If anyone can alleviate some of the pressure, the process would go faster. Gaara said with no emotion. After breaking through the hand seals and biting his finger to summon two boss-level toads, Gamatora and Gamaken, Jiraiya exclaimed, I'll do it. Kachiyose no jutsu. Jiraiya gave a hurried order, hurry up and help Kage out. The toads quickly realized how serious the situation was and wasted no time in supporting the structure. Sasori said, amazed and impressed by the deeds of his opponents, Hey. I can't believe that they actually managed to avoid getting crushed by your C3 bomb. As expected, I suppose, of the legendary Sannin and the young prodigious Kage. As he produced the most massive explosion a ninja has ever produced, at least as far as Sasori knew, and he was very aware when it came to the shinobi world, being the best spy master in the world and all, Deidara exclaimed, Hey. Let's see how they handle the true form of my art. Katsu. Sasori and Deidara were blown away by the shockwave, which caused them to feel the impact of the explosive even though they were high in the sky. The explosion was that powerful. By the time they managed to reclaim control of their clay hawks, they had actually moved a full mile from where they had started. The amount of C3 released by Deidara is much more than I had anticipated. I might have misjudged this jutsu's power. It is possible that we have eradicated the Jinchuriki entirely. If so, when will the Ichibudis be able to reassemble itself? Before Sasori could finish his thought, his partner's insane laugh startled him. With pride, Deidara exclaimed, Ha 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 ha. Dana. Did you see that? Do you now understand the true meaning of art? Sasori didn't respond to any of that with dignity, but he knew deep down that Deidara's artwork was truly incredible. If the true essence of art was the capacity to create something never seen before and to fill the minds and hearts of people who witness your jutsu with wonder and disbelief, then Deidara had just created the most amazing work of art ever seen. With a single jutsu, he had transformed a great mountainside into a great canyon. Is there anyone else who could accomplish that? Who else could make such a claim? People passing by this location in the future will tell tales of the ninja who, quite literally, built this canyon on his own. Like Sasori intended, Deidara's legacy will endure forever, surpassing the passage of time itself. Naturally, Sasori would never confess anything to Deidara, not even in the face of torture and death, but he would also never be able to bring himself to criticize Deidara's work ever again. He simply wasn't the type of person to tell himself lies. Yes, he was very good at lying to other people, but he would never, ever lie to himself. Sasori said, flying his bird closer to the ground, Come, Deidara. Let us look for the remnants of our enemies. Hopefully the Ichibi Jinchuriki was able to pull a rabbit out of a hat and survived. Deidara trailed silently, thinking about his partner's abrupt change in attitude. Returning to the surface. Kachiyose no Jutsu. Tsunade gasped as she summoned the last of her chakra, but even with her weak physical state, she was still able to summon a boss-level version of Katsuyu. In fact, this was her second summoning of a boss-level Katsuyu in a short period of time. The first was totally destroyed in the explosion when Tsunade attempted to use Katsuyu to defend herself and her allies from it. In addition, Jiraiya had called forth the fire. Breathing Toad's stomach, but Tsunade didn't even believe that was possible because the explosion destroyed it as well. When the explosion occurred, the Kage had not begun to break the earth into more sand, nor had he been able to gather enough sand. However, Kakashi had been surprisingly helpful. In fact, everyone would have perished if it weren't for his prompt intervention. Tsunade was forced to acknowledge Kakashi's skill at keeping secrets, since she had no idea that he possessed a Mangekyo Sharingan capable of opening wormholes of all kinds. Tsunade had known that it would be impossible to completely contain the explosion, but everything had happened so quickly that everyone had acted quickly to ensure their survival. Might Guy had unlocked the 7th gate and attempted to use Hiradora to extinguish the explosion, while even Konkaru had called upon his salamander puppet and concealed himself and his sister inside. Ironically, in an attempt to dissipate the explosion, Baki had also employed his large scale wind technique. While every small effort had helped to keep them from being completely destroyed, it was insufficient to keep them from suffering serious injuries. Tsunade herself was missing her entire lower body, as if her body had been snapped in two. For all she knew, her lower body had been wiped out. She wasn't even sure if it still existed. She could tell from her position that the explosion had dealt the Kage a serious blow. The only defense he must have had was his sand armor, since the sand he usually used for total protection was the same sand he had been using to support the structure they now realized was the bomb. Tsunade couldn't tell if he was dead or just completely unconscious from where she was. She was now regretting that Jiraiya and Naruto had altered the seal of the Kage. If the Ichibi would still have been released upon losing consciousness, that would have been preferable. The attacker would at least have Shukaku to deal with at that point. Still, she sensed that Kakashi was nearly as evil as she was. He had burn marks all over his body and was missing a leg and an arm. It was obvious that he had not been able to take in enough of the blast. Baki and Guy had vanished from view. She had no idea whether or not their bodies were still there, much less if they were still alive. Jiraiya was barely conscious, but other than missing an arm, he was fine. The siblings of the Kage were remarkably the least hurt out of all of them. However, they were also having difficulty staying conscious. They appeared to have successfully reduced the deadly jutsu's rate from 100% to, well, whatever it was at the time by cooperating with one another. She was still unable to determine whether Guy and Baki were still alive. Katsuyu cackled, Tsunade. Sama. Where is your lower body? Katsuyu, split yourself and help the others to recover. Start with Kakashi and the Sand siblings. Send a few of your smaller parts to look for my lower body while you keep me alive. Hurry, this is no time to go into shock, this is the time for action. Start acting like a professional. Tsunade gave an impatient order. Katsuyu stammered, Hi. Tsunade. Sama. As she hurriedly started working. To be honest, Tsunade understood that Katsuyu was right to be shocked by what she had just witnessed and that she didn't deserve to be spoken to in such a harsh manner. But the enemy remained a threat and could strike at any time. Tsunade understood that they had to move quickly because they would be here any moment to complete the task. Tsunade would have Katsuyu swallow all of them as soon as she could be certain that their lives were safe, and then she would reverse summon herself to the Shikatsu forest. The enemy could no longer be defeated. For now, survival was the only goal. It was the only option. They had given up on even trying to identify the precise attacker. To live and fight another day, they had to make it through. That was all that was going through Tsunade's mind. Two of them are missing, I cannot find the guy who dresses like a hipstar and Baki, the man known as the Hurricane, They could be dead, or they could be waiting for us to reveal ourselves and strike when we least expect. What do you suggest we do, Dana? Deidara sought the advice of his more knowledgeable companion. It doesn't matter where they are. Can you locate the Ichibi Jinchuriki? What is his situation? Inquired Sasori inquisitively. From the appearance, he appears to be unconscious, and there appears to be a slug. Like creature approaching him, Deidara said, trailing off as Sasori startled him by abruptly leaping onto his hawk. What the? At last, Deidara understood why Sasori had leapt into his clay bird. Hurry! Send the clay hawk to intercept the slug. You must get the Ichibi before that slug gets to him. Sasori instructed. Deidara gave the clay hawk that Sasori had just freed a mental command. You got it, Sasori no Dana. And saluted. One of Deidara's fastest birds, if not the fastest, the clay hawk arrived at its target in a matter of seconds. Katsuyu gasped in shock when she realized she would not be able to reach the spot in time, as the bird moved at an absurdly high speed, stretching its talons to swiftly seize the cage. Dynamic entry was the last thing Katsuyu heard before a man surrounded by blazing green energy crashed into the bird and kicked it violently, sending it flying in the opposite direction of its path. Considering how quickly the bird had been flying, Katsuyu found this to be an incredible feat. It must have required an enormous amount of force to propel it so quickly in the other direction. When the hawk that had been kicked by the strange man that Katsuyu now knew to be Might Gain exploded, she was about to rejoice that the cage would be saved after all. However, the explosion momentarily distracted Katsuyu and Guy, and the dust and debris from it blinded them. As a result, they missed the second hawk that had been flying in the shadow of the first one in time, snatching the cage and taking off before they realized what had happened. These Konoha ninjas are something else, aren't they, Dana, HN? It's a good thing I took the liberty to create another clay hawk to fly under the shadow of the first one, HN. You can never be too prepared, HN. Deidara sighed. Sasori said, eager to leave while things were still going their way. Yes, it's surprising that he was still able to move like that even with all of his injuries. But still, this is it for the Ichibi Jinchuriki. Come, Deidara, let us hurry and get out of here. Our objective is not complete until we have delivered the Ichibi to leader. Looks like we killed one of them, excluding the Ichibi, who is obviously going to die soon, Deidara remarked, mentally ordering his two hawks, the one carrying the cage and the one he and Sasori were riding on, to advance at full speed. Sasori inquired, what do you mean? With curiosity. That funny-looking taijutsu guy was carrying Baki the Hurricane's head, HN. I know they have an alliance, but I never expected the Konoha and Suna Shinobi to have such sentimental feelings for one another, HN. Deidara responded. Was all Sasori could reply, as he had long since given up on caring anything at all about the people of Wind Country and simply saw that as the meaning of a Suna Shinobi's life. Guy began to cough violently and sputtered, shish. Shimada. I have to save the Kaz. Have to. He then abruptly collapsed to the ground, dropping Baki's head to the ground without any fanfare. Upon noticing her comrade's poor state, Katsuyu immediately bonded with him and started to heal and restore him, ultimately saving his life. Of course, seeing Baki's corpse fall from Guy's grasp raised many questions, many of which she was unable to address at the time. Later on, she would find out that Baki had given his life to save Might Guy's, which explains why Guy had clung so tightly to his head, wanting to bury at least a small piece of the great man at his funeral. The Enlightened Village. Lord Boros. Melioran cried out, startling himself into standing up. Boros questioned incredulously, Yo. Why are you naked, you stupid fool? And where the hell is your left arm? Boros is a very tall chimera ant that resembles a cyclops. His bangs fall over his face, and his hair is light pink and spiky. His teeth are sharp, and a row of silver earrings lines the tip of his pointed ears. He has one big blue eye, and the majority of his body is covered in dark blue crack, like markings that begin from his eye and spread outward. He also has a matching pair of curved boots and is decked out in armor with spikes on his forearms and shoulders. In addition, he has on a pair of white harem pants, which are secured by a magenta sash that has purple blades lined with silver hanging from it. Furthermore, Boros was a member of the Royal Guard. More precisely, he was the leader of the Royal Annihilation Squad, a group of chimera ants that could wreak havoc in combat. To put it mildly, they were not equipped for missions requiring a great deal of delicacy or stealth. Carnage Kabuto, Lionel the Beast King, and Priscilla the Terrible, better known as the Winged Demon of the Forest of Enlightenment, were the other members of the Royal Annihilation Squad. Melioran was terrified, and that would be putting it mildly. It was no stretch of the imagination to suggest that, in terms of strength, the Royal Demolition Squad members were the closest to the king. However, Melioron was more afraid of their personalities than anything else, which is why he was afraid. Of all the Chimera ants, this group was by far the most erratic and sadistic. Despite his terrible nature, Melioron's luck was not entirely lost because Boros was the most composed and sensible of the four. He would have been afraid that they would kill him before they even bothered to investigate if any of the other three had discovered him looking like he'd just gotten his ass whooped. Boros spoke seriously, the threat of Melioron's extinction palpable in every word. "Don't make me ask you a second time, Melioron," Boros said. Melioron suddenly cried, I have to make a report to Naruto. Sama. I have to go to Onigakure no Sato urgently. As he suddenly recalled what had transpired. Boros cried out in a furious manner, "What? Tell me what happened? Now. Where is Kami? Sama? He's fine. He's fine. He asked me to track and follow the Konoha Suna contingent from the Kage summit. I was caught in a massive explosion, big enough to destroy an entire ninja village. It was the enemy's jutsu, I think it was Akatsuki. They were after the Ichibi. I'm sure of it." Melioron responded as quickly and thoroughly as he was able. Melioron was rather taken aback and incredulous when Boros deadpanned, "I see. Well, I actually don't give a crap about that." Carefully, Melioron asked, "So? Can I go?" Yeah, totally. Go along now. Do your job. And don't let me see you looking like that again. Make sure you at least grow your arm back before you stand before me. There is nothing I hate more than imperfection and weakness." Boros spoke with authority. Melioron gave a quick salute and dashed out of there. Hi. Kuso. After the blast, and now Boros? As he fled from the monster as fast as he could, Melioron thought, I can't tell which one was worse. Yugito yelled, obviously not happy with the Raikage's disdain for the advice of his personal medic team. Raikage. Sama. What are you doing here? It's only been a little over a week. You're in no condition to be working already. The medics told you to rest for a month at least. The medic C said, I agree with her, sir, the injuries you sustained were grievous, to say the least. Together with B's Jonin team, which included Karui, Omoi, and Samui, they were in the Raikage's office. They were Yugito, C, B, Darui, Dodai, and Mabui. They had assumed Dodai was still acting as the Raikage while the Raikage was recovering, so they were responding to a summons from him. However, it turns out that was just a small act of deception, as Sama had actually called for them. The Raikage gave the letter to Mabui so that she could give it to Darui so that he could read it to everyone, utterly disregarding the objections. This is a letter from Uzumaki Naruto. I want you all to listen carefully and tell me what you think. Yugito questioned incoherently, wait a minute, he wrote a letter to us, after everything that happened? He didn't, Yugito. San. The letter was clearly written even before the 5 Kage summit. Why? Because the letter came out of a time-lapsing storage seal that Uzumaki Naruto placed on Raikage Sama during their battle. Mabui clarified. During the battle? I know the report said that he was even faster than Sama, but surely the difference is not so great that he could place a seal on Sama during battle without Sama noticing. C replied with disbelief. Yugito. San's report indicated that Uzumaki Naruto punched Raikage Sama one more time when he was already down, that he had a clear chance to kill him but chose to merely punch him instead. We believe that is when he placed the seal on him. Dodai responded. C remarked thoughtfully, I see, that certainly makes a good amount of sense, I guess. Dodai corrected, causing C's eyes to briefly widen before nodding his head in understanding. However, C, it is unwise to assume that he couldn't have placed a seal on Sama even at top speed. We are after all, talking about an Uzumaki seal master who is also the son of the Yellow Flash. As you should know, the Yellow Flash was more than capable of placing seals on both B and Sama while they were moving at top speed. Darui said as he opened the letter and started reading, so I guess I will start reading the letter then. Dear Dono, Yandaime Raikage. As you are undoubtedly aware by now, my name is Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto. I am the son of the Yellow Flash Namikaze Minato and the Red Blooded Habanero Uzumaki Kushina. Whether the summit went well or not, I am also the Shodem Onikage. I have discovered, and have been aware of, Akatsuki for a number of years. Like my bloodline group, it's an organization made up entirely of S-ranked criminals, in this case, S-ranked ninjas. Some of their members, such as the tailless-tailed beast Hoshigaki Kisame, the kinslayer Uchiha Itachi, the Red Sands puppeteer Master Sasori, and Bakuden no Deidara, the former apprentice of Tsuchikage Onoki Dono, are people I have already met. Zetsu is another member that I have encountered who is an expert in espionage. He appears to have a bloodline limit connected to Mokuton. Ultimately, I'm supposed to think that one of their members, who may or may not be Uchiha Madara himself, is the one hiding in the shadows and is accountable for the Kyuubi incident that happened in Konoha more than 15 years ago. This man is a mysterious Sharingan user and a master Jikugen ninjutsu practitioner. He's at least somewhat associated with Uchiha Madara. I have a good feeling that Uchiha Itachi knows about this man's presence and role in the group, but I'm not sure if the other members, aside from their leader, also know. Regarding the leader, I've been informed with solid evidence that he is the master of the Rinnegan, the fabled eyes that the ninjutsu founder and sage of the Six Paths once possessed. If you haven't already, I'm sure you've started to question some of what I've said. That's normal and even acceptable, but regardless of your beliefs about Uchiha Madara's existence and the existence of a real Rinnegan wielder, Akatsuki still poses a threat. You may wonder how they could be a threat to you. To put it simply, this organization's primary goal, aside from its mercenary operations, is to gather all 9 of the Biju, though I'm not exactly sure why they would do so. There are roughly 9 or 10 members in the organization. If the number is 9, then perhaps all they want is to turn into the Biju containers and utilize their power to rule the world, but I have a much darker suspicion. I am unable to act against the Akatsuki because, as the leader of the bloodline, we have an ongoing non-aggression pact. I'm just requesting that you take additional safety measures to safeguard your Jinchuriki. I'm not asking you to move against them either. Make sure they are surrounded by capable teams and that they don't leave the village without them. For the sake of all of us, it is essential that Akatsuki's plans fail, and it goes without saying that we never discussed Akatsuki or sent you this letter. I anticipate that you will destroy it and keep it out of your memory forever. P.S. Additionally, keep in mind that Akatsuki are S-rank ninja, so even though they normally operate in 2-man cells, this does not lessen their threat level. Under the right conditions, any one of them is capable of destroying an entire hidden village. I implore you to consider this warning extremely serious. Sincerely, yours. The Onikage. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. So, I guess the first question to ask is, do we believe this information at all, and also, why would the Onikage be interested in helping us to protect our greatest military weapons considering the history Kumo has with the Uzumaki clan, and especially considering the fact that the Raikage just recently attacked him? Samui responded with skepticism. I haven't met the Onikage, but based on the way he structured the letter, it seems he is more concerned about preventing Akatsuki from obtaining the Biju than helping us to keep them. It just so happens that helping us is the only other way he sees to derail Akatsuki's plans without directly taking action against them. C replied. Those are our thoughts exactly, C. No two people are exactly the same, however, this kind of action is exactly what his father would have done under the circumstances. Uzumaki Naruto is not Namikaze Minato, but he is definitely his father's son. I responded, pleased with C's deduction. Yugito questioned inquisitively, you said our thoughts, you and who exactly? Mabui, Dodai and I have already discussed the letter at length. The hardest part was deciding whether to let you in on it or not given the sensitivity of the information. Ultimately, we decided that the Jinchuriki and their teammates and close associates should be privy to this information. It will make it easier for you to protect yourselves and for your associates to help you if you have access to information. I responded. I see. I'm guessing then that there will be some restructuring in terms of how things are going to be from now on. Yugito chuckled. Dodai, that goes without saying. Exclaimed I, silently instructing Dodai to inform the others of their choice. Dodai explained the first part of the plan, pausing briefly to let everyone process the information before continuing. We have come up with a twofold structure. First and foremost, when inside the village, both Yugito, Sama and B. Sama will work as Sama's bodyguards and tag team partners, which means that they will always be close to Sama and the Akatsuki will have to go through the entire village Shinobi just to get to them, and even if they do manage that feat, we'll have a Sama to contend with too. Dodai explained the first part of the plan, pausing briefly to let everyone process the information before continuing. Now, we understand that due to their shinobi excellence and reputations, Sama and Yugito. Sama fetch a high demand from clients all across the elemental nations. We know that we cannot keep them locked up, otherwise Kumogakure will lose a large chunk of its clientele. However, at the same time, we absolutely cannot allow our prized assets to go on solo missions anymore. Therefore, as a compromise, Sama and Yugito. Sama will still go on missions outside of the village, but they will only go as part of a 4-man team. Dodai stated his point clearly. Obviously then, Sama will operate with his Jonin team of Karui, Samui, and Omoi, but what about Yugito? Sama? She doesn't exactly have a team, she only goes on solo missions. Darui paused. I issued an authoritative command, saying, Yugito's new team, with immediate effect, will be comprised of her, you, C, and Dodai. I see. You really thought this whole thing through, haven't you, Sama? Darui replied. Of course I have. My recent, embarrassing defeat to Uzumaki Naruto has given me much perspective. He reminds me a lot of his father, and if he is anything like his father, then we have to take a warning from him very seriously. I also have to assume that we are the only ones that he has managed to warn about the Akatsuki, as we are the only ones that he actively interacted with after the summit. Assuming that is true, then it is even more imperative that we protect our Biju so that we can have the advantage over the other villages when they inevitably lose theirs. I clarified. That is a brilliant idea, Sama, in fact everything you have said and done has been well thought out, however aren't we overlooking something? If the Onikage only gave you the letter by placing a storage seal on you when you fought him, then how was he planning to give the letter to you if you didn't confront him? Did he somehow already know that you would attack him? Wasn't he on his way home when you confronted him? So then what was his original plan? Also, if he placed a storage seal on you without anyone realizing until some days later, what other seal could he have placed on you? And finally, does the Onikage really have a non-aggression pact with Akatsuki, or is he just trying to get us to do his dirty work for him and take out his competitors? Samui inquired in rapid succession. Those are indeed significant questions, questions that the answers to have already been discussed at length by Dodai, Mabui and I. In the end, we decided that it really wasn't all that important if Uzumaki had an ulterior motive or not, and it is even unlikely. Uzumaki Naruto did not ask us to hunt down Akatsuki, only that we take measures to protect ourselves against them should they attack. He is not trying to incite a war between Akatsuki and us, but rather is trying to get us prepared in case of one. As far as any other potential seals placed on me are concerned, we have our best people working on ascertaining that. I responded. Still, with regard to this new arrangement, our efficiency will be hindered by this, for example, in Dodai. Sama, Darui, Dono, C. Dono, and Yugito. Sama, you have 4 elite Jonin capable of handling S-class missions single-handedly, working together to handle just one S-class mission. We will be losing a lot of money and clientele because of this arrangement. Could Uzumaki Naruto Dono not have an angle of some sort regarding that particular issue? Perhaps he means to distract us whilst he moves in and takes a huge chunk of our clientele from us. Samui responded with skepticism. Again, a valid concern, Samui. Chan, however, think about what we would lose if we didn't take these precautions and we lost both our Jinchuriki. A half a dozen or so clients seem insignificant in the face of that, don't you think? Mabui replied on the Raikage's behalf. I guess that's accurate, Samui remarked thoughtfully. Why are we even worried about Akatsuki though? Do we honestly believe that a mere 2-man cell can take out either of Yugito? Sama or Sama? They are both S-ranked ninja even without harnessing the power of their Biju. Once they do harness that power, they are nigh unbeatable. Karui countered. That is a dangerous way of thinking, Karui. Chan. Tell me, in the time frame between the passing of the Yellow Flash and the recent Kage Summit, did you think anyone in the world was capable of defeating Sama? Did you think there was anyone in the world who was faster than him? Mabui implied. Karui said, her eyes widening as realization hit her. No, ma'am. We must not underestimate Akatsuki. Not only are they an organization of ninja each with the power and skill of a Kage, but they have also, presumably, been preparing to hunt the Biju for years and years. No doubt they have skill sets and jutsu specialized for hunting and capturing Biju. We also do not believe Yugito, Dono or B. Sama could lose, but we have to take the necessary precautions nevertheless. Do you understand, Karui? Chan? Mabui chuckled. Karui obediently answered, yes, Mabui. Sama. Good, now are there any objections to the setup? I responded. I suddenly became gloomy and exclaimed, in that case, everyone except Mabui and Dodai, get the hell out of my office. Perhaps he had been holding himself back to get through the meeting. I'm afraid we cannot leave yet, Raikage. Sama. As usual, I will take whatever punishment you deem fit for this act if insubordination. I don't think it wise to chase us out of your office without addressing the gigantic elephant in the room. Uchiha Madara, the Rinnegan? Those were significant topics in the Onikage's letter. Everyone was curious to hear the Raikage's take on this rather difficult to believe without proof, so Yugito asked warily, drawing attention to himself. Do we believe that the Uchiha Madara is somehow alive, that he is hiding in the shadows of Akatsuki, and that he was responsible for the Kyuubi incident over 15 years ago? Do we believe there is a living wielder of the legendary eyes of the Sage of the Six Paths? I do not know what to say to you. It is admittedly an outrageous claim, and I cannot blame any of you for doubting the Onikage's words. However, I never believed that Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina could have failed to contain and defeat the Kyuubi once it broke out. In fact, I never believed it could break out in the first place given Kushina's powers and Minato's sealing prowess. The only way that was possible was if there was a human factor. But what human was capable of causing the Yellow Flash himself to lose his life in battle? No one. So it still didn't make sense to me, and never did I manage to make sense of it. Until now. To the surprise of everyone, those names are Mabui, Dodai, and... So you believe it? The Yellow Flash, like Shodem Hokage, fought both the Kyuubi and Uchiha Madara? C responded with disbelief. I believe so. It is the only way his death makes sense. You guys were either not born yet or too young to know what a terror the Yellow Flash was in the shinobi world. Having fought him on numerous occasions, I came to the conclusion that he was invincible. So I repeat, and hear me well, the only way what happened 16 years ago makes sense, is if the Onikage's theory about Uchiha Madara is true. I responded with great surprise to everyone else. Yugito inquired, and what about the Rinnegan? We already know that the Sage of the Six Paths was real, in fact some of his descendants hailed from Kumo like the Gold and Silver brothers. We also have weapons that he made and used in battle. He is not a myth, he is part of our history as shinobi. Could there be a second coming? I do not know. However, what is clear is that we must all be prepared for what is to come. With the emergence of Onikage and the Bloodline organization, and the sinister and mysterious threat that is Akatsuki, I get the feeling that reality itself is about to become redefined. We must all train and prepare ourselves for what is to come. The fourth great ninja war is on the horizon. I sighed. And with that said, where does the Onikage stand? Is he a friend or a foe, given that we attacked him after a summit, and given Kumogakure's history with the Uzumaki clan? Darui was curious and wary. I have no idea how he truly feels about us. At the very least, for now, I think we can consider him to be a neutral party. However, when or if the threat of Akatsuki is ever neutralized, we will no longer have a common enemy. What he will do then I cannot say. I believe we must treat him like we do everyone else, as a potential enemy. I responded. I see, Darui mumbled incoherently. Mabui made I fight hard to resist the urge to tongue-lash Mabui for babying him, especially in front of his subordinates. If there are no more questions, then you may all be dismissed. Sama is arguably the healthiest and fittest man in the world, but even he needs his rest after the ordeal he went through. Mabui said, leaving a tick mark on Ai's forehead. By your leave then, Raikage. Sama. Darui said, bowed slightly, and then he and everyone else, aside from Mabui and Dodai, moved in the direction of the door. For the first time since his arrival, B spoke. To everyone's surprise and relief, he said, get some rest, because you and I are going to see each other before I go on my next quest. I'm going to come to your house tonight like a guest because I've got a lot that I want to get off my chest, oh yeah. They had all been wondering what could have troubled B so much that he would be so silent during a meeting. HN. I snorted haughtily, although he was actually worried about his younger brother. In the interim, Sound Village is based at the East Gate. One Uchiha Sasuke, as he kicked his last victim's corpse away from him, said, "Hizuka Suigetsu, a child prodigy of the village hidden in the mist, once hailed as the second coming of the demon Momochi Zabuza. As someone who has seen firsthand the skills and shinobi prowess of Momochi Zabuza before, I do not take the praise given to you lightly." As a result, the body became dislodged from the sword that was penetrating its chest and crashed unceremoniously into the far wall. Sasuke focused all of his attention on his target, giving the corpse no more attention or thought. He had hesitated to take a life in combat not too long ago. Although aiming had been the only way to guarantee that he wouldn't be attacked or sought after, killing had been difficult for him because he was worried about the people his victims would be leaving behind. This was a reasonable concern coming from someone who had been the only survivor of an entire clan that had been murdered. But not too long ago, he had been so consumed by his rage and hate for the Dobi that, in the process of fighting it off, he had killed a good number of the sound ninjas he had previously defeated without causing any casualties. Then, in order to obtain the twin lightning fangs from him, he had to kill Kuratsuki Raiga and his small, twisted makeshift clan, who reveled in burying people alive. As much as he hated to admit it, killing was getting easier for him. In fact, it was almost second nature to him. The water tank that Sasuke appeared to be conversing with had a young, manly voice say, "Your sword skills are not too shabby either, stranger." As he approached the water tank, Sasuke answered, "The style I use has been passed down for generations in the Uchiha clan. Even Uchiha Madara himself used this style as the foundation for his sword style." "The Uchiha clan, huh? Given your apparent age, then you couldn't possibly be Uchiha Itachi. Was there another survivor after all?" Suigetsu was thinking loudly. With conviction, Sasuke answered, "I am the only one who survived. Itachi the traitor is already dead. He just doesn't know it yet." "Oh. You mean to kill him then, for revenge for what he did to your clan?" "The fact that you were here, together with the noise and commotion I heard outside, must mean that you have killed all 255 of the ninja guarding this base, and you did it without a scratch too. Quite impressive. They were a far cry from the ninja of the great Uchiha clan of course, but still an impressive feat nonetheless. You might actually be able to kill Uchiha Itachi one day." Suigetsu replied. "He still hasn't asked me why I came here, and he doesn't appear to be worried that I might kill him next. Does he simply not give a damn, or does he possess steely nerves?" Sasuke pondered cautiously. "Speaking of Itachi, are you aware that he is part of an organization of S-rank ninja? They work in 2-man cells, and there might possibly be a way for them to call for extra backup if the need arose. To increase the chances of my success, I have decided to form a team of my own. Might you be interested in joining this team?" asked Sasuke. "A team? And who would be the leader of this team? Why would I follow you? Why would I even be interested in becoming a part of this team? What's in it for me?" Suigetsu rhetorically asked. Attempting to mimic the Dobi, Sasuke responded, "We both come from great ninja family who are now extinct. We are now the last hope of both our clans. I thought that might make you empathize with my situation." Given that the Dobi had an organization of S-rank ninja and, in fact, an entire hidden village willing to follow him and die for him, Sasuke reasoned that perhaps his methods were worth a try. "I do empathize, you and I are indeed in similar situations. However, a ninja never makes decisions based on emotions, every ninja worth his kunai knows that." Suigetsu responded. "Playing hard to get, I see. Okay, I want revenge on Itachi, but isn't there someone you want your revenge on too? Orochimaru stole you from your home, humiliated you, experimented on you, and kept you in a water tank for years. What if I told you that before killing Itachi, I intend to kill Orochimaru? What would you say to that?" Sasuke replied with a small, arrogant S. "Orochimaru, huh? Are you sure you have the power to pull that off? Even I wouldn't dare to hunt Orochimaru, not yet at least." Suigetsu responded. "I am confident. You might also want to know that Hoshigaki Kisame is Itachi's partner in the Akatsuki. I hear he has the strongest of the 7 ninja swords." Sasuke heavily took the bait. "You're being so kind to me, Uchiha-san. Are you an angel or something? Nevertheless, I told you I wasn't ready to face Orochimaru. What makes you think I am ready to face Kisame? Senpai? If anything, I would rather face Orochimaru than to throw down with the tailless Biju." Suigetsu responded. Sasuke bluntly replied, so, basically, you're a coward? Not the demonic traits I was expecting when I came here. I'm not a coward, far from it. But understand that I have been trapped in a water tank since I was 11 years old. I haven't had any training or battle experience ever since. It would be foolish of me to go straight into battle with S-ranked ninja, don't you think? Suigetsu paused. Sasuke pulled out a storage scroll with the kanji for sword and said, 3 months then. We'll train and go on missions together for 3 months, and then we'll go after Orochimaru. I don't expect you to fight Orochimaru yourself, I'm just going to need you to stop anyone trying to aid him. Sasuke realized that this was the ideal time to use his trump card. When Sasuke unsealed the swords and they fell to the ground in front of the water tank for Suigetsu to view and examine, he said, as a joining gift, I procured these for you. Be grateful for my generosity. Taking out Kuretsuki Raiga, the 7 ninja swordsmen, was no easy feat. The twin lightning fangs? You say you fought and defeated Kuretsuki Raiga to get these? That's really impressive, Uchiha-san. Really impressive. Suigetsu was speechless. He's not just a talker, really. Perhaps he can actually take down Itachi and Orochimaru. Suigetsu thought, maybe there's something to gain, at least for the time being, from becoming his ally. Okay, I give up. You win, Uchiha-san, I lose. I will join your team. You've given me no choice. To think you had a trump card like this all along. How devious of you. Suigetsu replied with amazement as well as dismay. As he used a Chidori to cut through the chakra. Enhanced water tank like a knife through butter, causing all the water to pour out of it, Sasuke said, come then, let us be on our way. Suigetsu quickly reconstituted himself and grabbed onto the lightning fangs before using an incredibly quick shunshin to get behind Sasuke, holding one sword against the Uchiha heir's throat and the other aimed for the right side of the torso, just under the armpits. Sasuke calmly remarked, fast, for someone who has been in a tank for almost 5 years, that is. Suigetsu shot back, saying, calm, for someone who is about to die, that is. However, no sooner had he spoken than his whole body was engulfed in a powerful lightning current, causing Sasuke to shock the hell out of the water. Based ninja he had just recruited. Suigetsu dropped his weapons and collapsed to the ground, convulsing as he lost all control over his movements. I see, so even at 50% capacity the Chidori Nagashi affects you to this extent. Because of your bloodline limit, it is obvious that lightning is your weakness, that's why it was such a good idea to get the lighting kiba for you, so that you can use them as a counter to other lightning-based attacks. Being a former trainee of the 7 ninja swordsmen, I would have expected you to know how to use the swords already, but clearly you have no idea how to use them, otherwise you would have used the sword to absorb the electricity from my attack in order to protect yourself. Consider this your first training lesson. Sasuke said to the water ninja. I hope you will have some understanding of the power of those swords that I worked so hard to get for you by then. When you have managed to gather yourself, meet me outside. We have another recruit to go after. Maybe you can show me your fighting skills when we get to the base in the north. With that, Sasuke left Suigetsu alone with his thoughts as he considered the advantages and disadvantages of siding with this insane and dangerous Uchiha. Kuso. In actuality, he's the real deal. I not only owe him a lot, as much as I hate to say it, but I also need him. I might not make it through this 5 years in that stupid tank without being captured again. I need to get stronger, and this Uchiha guy seems to be the way to get there. Anyhow, what's his name? Suigetsu lay there thinking, as if there was nothing else he could do given his inability to move his body at the moment. Konoha. Office of the Hokage. Danzo rudely trailed off, how may I help you, Hokage? Tsunade nearly regretted calling the old prick into her office. Tsunade said sternly, I spoke to the elders, Kaharu and Hamura. Dono, and apparently, you are the man who knows the most about the experiments that Konoha did in the past with my grandfather's DNA. I would appreciate it if you handed over all the notes that you have on the DNA experiments, in fact, that's an order. Danzo raised an eyebrow at that, realizing that this was not one of the many reasons he could think of to be called upon. Danzo questioned inquisitively, if I may be so bold as to ask, what do you plan to do with such information, princess? I'm the best medical ninja in the village, in fact in the world, and I just asked you for notes on DNA cloning. Isn't it obvious what I want to do? Tsunade responded with disbelief. Danzo shot back, making Tsunade sigh deeply. She should have known the old war hawk would not give her the information she requested without putting her through a question. End. Answer period. The fact that it is obvious is not the reason it is hard to believe, but rather the fact that it is too good to be true. We are backed into a corner. We have lost our Jinchuriki and it doesn't look like we can get the Kyuubi back anytime soon, if ever. Not only that, but Jiraiya and Hitaki Kakashi, two of our finest ninja, are now effectively disabled and unable to participate in combat. Just the two of them are worth 1,000 ninja. Furthermore, our allies, the Sand, have lost their Jinchuriki, and would have lost another Kage in the space of 4 years were it not for Chiyo, boss sacrificing herself to resurrect him. Tsunade proceeded, allowing Danzo to continuing. We need something to tip the scales on our side, a trump card so to speak. I believe I can use the cloning medical procedures you used, with a little improvement, to give Kakashi a new arm and a leg, and to give Jiraiya a new arm. Grandfather's DNA is said to also strengthen the chakra if I am not mistaken. This will be a boon for both of them. With Grandfather's DNA implants, Jiraiya can finally master the sage arts of the Toads and Kakashi will be able to use the Sharingan to its full potential. Our strength will have effectively become even greater than it was before the Akatsuki attack, not counting the loss of the Ichibi, that is to say. Tsunade continued. Danzo's features developed a smirk that he could not and would not ignore. When things were going well, they were all the same, acting mighty and superior, but when things went south, they were quick to see things his way and begin using the same strategies as he did. Hiruzen was the same, and it appeared that Tsunade had followed in her sensei's footsteps as well. Danzo was determined not to let her know that, even though it was his deepest desire. He couldn't let this fantastic opportunity slip through his fingers in that manner. Their love for the village and their desire to defend and protect it was something that they both shared, even though he didn't like the princess. That was what mattered, and that was what he needed to concentrate on at this moment. I could persuade her to create a whole clan of Mokuton users if I only had more DNA samples. If given enough time, she could probably perfect the DNA splicing process with her skills. But maybe this time, fate is on our side. I just so happen to have just enough samples for the procedure she intends to carry out on Jiraiya and Kakashi, Danzo moaned. Fair enough. I must warn you that the samples of your grandfather's DNA have been depleted over the years. I only have just about enough for what you aim to do with them. Also, you might want to warn Jiraiya and Kakashi about the drawbacks of the procedure. Danzo clarified. Tsunade questioned warily, drawbacks? What kind of drawbacks? The process you intend to do, though, is not impossible. It can be done, and the stronger the chakra of the host, the better the chances of success. Danzo trailed off, pausing briefly to allow the information to sink in before continuing. Hashirama. Sama's cells have an immeasurable life force, so much so that, as soon as the cells are merged to a host, they immediately attempt to take over the entirety of the host's body. Jiraiya and Kakashi will indeed have a far larger chakra reservoir once the procedure is done, and jutsu that were not usable due to chakra constraints or any type of physical limitation will now be accessible. They will even heal and recover from injuries at a much more rapid rate than before. However, there is a great risk involved. They must take care to ensure that they are never pushed too far into their limits, because when your chakra and stamina become too low, Hashirama's cells will completely overpower you and turn you into a literal tree, which of course will result in their untimely deaths. Danzo continued. As Danzo explained the phenomenon to her, Tsunade became extremely shocked and exclaimed, "It will turn them into trees? You can't be serious." Danzo said rhetorically, "I have seen it happen with my own 2 eyes." How do you think Konohamaru? Kun's father died? Konohamaru's father? As in Asuma. Kun's older brother and Sarutobi. Sensei's firstborn son? Wasn't he a prodigy who mysteriously died on a S-ranked mission? Tsunade was perplexed. It was indeed a S-ranked mission for which the details were never disclosed. His mission was to partake in a DNA experiment where Hashirama Sama's cells were to be infused within him. He was a genius shinobi like his father, and he had much stronger chakra and vitality than even Hiruzen did in his prime. He was considered the perfect candidate for the experiment, the most likely to successfully assimilate Hashirama Sama's cells into his body and control the Mokuton bloodline limit. Needless to say, he failed, and was turned into a tree. The details of his death are one of the biggest secrets of the village. Danzo clarified. Tsunade trembled and said, But, from what you're telling me, it sounds like the risk is not even worth it. isn't it? You're not going for complete cellular integration, are you? So the risk of a complete takeover only extends to insofar as whether or not Jiraiya or Kakashi can win their battles without depleting their chakra reservoirs, not to mention that not taking the risk would mean that you lose Kakashi completely as a soldier and you have a crippled Jiraiya fighting for you on the front lines. In light of that, is the risk really not worth it? What do you have to lose? What do they have to lose? Thankfully, Tsunade refrained from using her super strength this time and slammed her fist down on the table, bellowing, "How about their lives, you old decrepit warhawk?" Tsunade's mouth opened and closed, eyes wide as she realized she had no counter-argument to Danzo's very good damn point. Lives which they will lose anyway if the village gets destroyed because they were unable to protect it. Danzo deadpanned. "Kuso. Shizune." Tsunade yelled angrily, and Shizune, always at her master's and Hokage's beck and call, barged into the office right away. Tsunade. Sama. Are you okay? Shizune inquired in a distressed tone. Tsunade exclaimed, "I'm fine. Have Jiraiya and Kakashi brought to my office, immediately." Shizune complied without question, hurriedly leaving the office to finish the instruction she had been given. Hi, Tsunade, Sama. Tsunade answered, "We have to let them know immediately. Given the risks involved, they have to be the ones who decide whether to go through with it or not." Danzo was giving her a suspicious look. "In that case, while you do that, I will take my leave so that I can organize the notes and DNA samples that you will need for the procedure." Tsunade questioned incredulously, "Why would you do that now? We don't know if they will agree to it or not." Danzo blasted his cane against the floor and walked out of the office, saying haughtily, "Please Tsunade, even you don't really believe the words coming out of your lips. Of course they will agree to it." "Oh no." Tsunade shook her head mentally, thinking, "I still hate that man after all." "Oh." Fu bellowed warily, "Come out. Whoever you are. Show yourself now. I will not ask you again." She is a 16-year-old girl of great beauty, with orange eyes, tan skin, green hair, and a trim build. Her ninja attire consists of fishnet shorts with a short white apron skirt over them, long white armlets, and a short sleeveless white shirt with fishnet armor underneath. She has a red, wrapped cylindrical object on her back and her right arm is wearing a forehead protector. A young, attractive, and beautiful man emerged from behind a tree and said, "My oh my, how troublesome you are, young one, escaping from the confines of your village and running off on your own like that. Do you not know how dangerous it is out in the wilderness for people like you?" The young man was extremely attractive, with long, silky red hair and vivid green eyes. He could have passed for a male model or even a god in human form. He wore a red sleeveless top with a black sash tied around his waist, black ninja pants, and sandals. His height was slightly above average. He also had a lovely sword hanging around his waist and looked in excellent physical shape, even for a shinobi, given that there didn't seem to be any scar tissue anywhere on his body. Rather, it seemed as though he had never engaged in a single ninja combat or even a training session. Fu shot back, misinterpreting the stranger's remarks to mean that he was referring to her jinchuriki status rather than her gender. "Just because I am a woman doesn't mean I am defenseless. You should know better than to underestimate someone just because of their gender. Besides, why are you talking like an old man when you don't look that much older than I am?" Fu was perplexed. The young man completely disregarded Fu's questions and said, "You have become far less cheerful since the death of your team, but your recklessness and free-spiritedness remains. I would ask that you find a way to resist those temptations, but I fear my words would fall on deaf ears." Kurama grinned adoringly at the 16-year-old Jinchuriki as Fu angrily activated two of her tails, transforming them into bug-like wings on her back. "Okay, so you're just going to keep talking nonsense and ignore all my questions, are you? Well, I too can play at that game. I can just fly the hell out of here and leave you talking to yourself if you don't start giving the answers." Fu exclaimed. "For some reason, this Jinchuriki makes me think of that brat. You really do have a pretty container, Shomei." The young man thought, "I hope she has treated you well, and vice versa." The young man, now known as Kurama, threw a scroll to the Seven Tails Jinchuriki, who wisely jumped out of the way and allowed the scroll to fall on the grass. "Fair enough. My name is Kurama. I am nothing but a regular Ronin, traveling around and exploring the world for the first time in a very long time. I have come here to give you a warning and of course, a gift." "What is the meaning of this?" Did you really think I would fall for a trick like that? What did you intend to do with that scroll, Kurama? Fu was furious. It's no trick. That there is a reverse summoning scroll. If you smear your blood on it and channel some chakra on it, it will reverse summon you to the heart of Demon Country. When you are there, make your way to Onigakure no Sato, and tell the Onikage that I sent you. He will not be happy to see you, but he will also not turn you away either. He would never turn anyone away who needed his help, but especially someone that I sent to him, and especially someone like you. Kurama murmured. I apologize, Gaki. I am aware that you and Akatsuki have a truce, but I must defend my family. If this woman comes to you for help, I know you won't turn her away. You'll have to break a promise for the first time, Kurama thought to himself, certain that the life of this woman, even to someone who never breaks a promise, would outweigh any promise made to Akatsuki. Demon Country? Okay, first of all, why would I want to go to Demon Country of all the places in the world? A demon-infested place like that is not exactly my idea of a holiday resort. Secondly, how would I even find Onigakure no Sato? I have no idea what the terrain even looks like there. I would totally get lost, if you know, I don't get killed by the numerous demons infesting that hellscape. Fu sighed. Kurama threw another scroll next to the reverse summoning scroll and said, you can find Onigakure using this map that I drafted. As for why you would even need these two scrolls, it is in case you find yourself in dire trouble, life and death kind of trouble. I hope you will never have to use these gifts, but I fear you might soon have to. At that point you will have probably also realized why going to Onigakure instead of back to Takigakure is the right option, for both yours and your village's sake. Kurama clarified. Fu worriedly questioned, my village's sake? What do you mean? You will soon understand, all I can say is this, sometimes you have to leave the people you love in order to keep them safe. Kurama replied incoherently. Fu asked, his face bewildered, assuming this isn't some kind of trick, why are you doing this? Why help me? You don't even know me, and I don't know you. I understand your need to ask these questions, but unfortunately I cannot give you the answers. Too much is at stake. Also, if we do meet again, be sure to pretend that you have never seen me before, that you do not know who I am. You see, I am undercover, it is a big risk for me to appear like this before you. Do not tell a single soul of our encounter, for if you do, you will have condemned the both of us to an untimely death. Kurama said as his body began to disintegrate, transforming into an actual wood stack. A wood clone? Fu exclaimed, her tone revealing both surprise and disbelief. Other, Avian Nation. Wow. That was absolutely amazing. I can't believe we just saved a princess. Naruto. Sensei, is that what you always get up to in your solo missions? Amaru was ecstatic. 12. Year. Old Uzumaki Amaru, a tomboy with long red hair and thick eyebrows, was abandoned. Despite her tomboyish tendencies, she is genuinely quite beautiful and of Uzumaki descent. Her attire was a typical kunoichi ensemble, comprising a black ninja skirt and a red chunin flak jacket, complemented by white bandages encircling her ankles and black ninja sandals. She had a ninja weapons pouch on her left leg, a sword strapped onto her back, and her forehead protector tied around her left arm. Even though it seemed absurd to everyone around her, Uzumaki Hinoka answered with complete conviction, I'm sure Naruto. Sensei has saved 1,000 princesses. Hinoka is a stunning redhead with ocean blue eyes who is also of Uzumaki descent. She was dressed similarly to Hinoka, with the exception that her sword was on her left hip rather than her back and that she was wearing a short-sleeved top under her flak jacket rather than a sports bra like Amaru had on. She was also wearing her weapons pouch on her right leg rather than her left. Amaru. Chan, I'm not really sure that is accurate. In fact, it sounds completely impossible. Yukimaru responded. Yukimaru is a 12-year old boy who, in contrast to the other two, is not a girl. He also has blonde hair rather than red, and his eyes are magenta. In contrast to the other two, he also lacks a standard sized sword and instead carries a massive zanbadu on his back that is the length of his entire body. Like the other two, he is dressed in a red flak jacket, but instead of black tights hidden by a short black skirt, he is wearing long black pants with a long sleeve back top underneath. Like Hinoka, he has his forehead protector tied around his head and is also sporting black sandals. In addition, he has white tape around his ankles and black fingerless gloves on. Just a month ago, the trio became the Onikage Genin team, or rather, Shunin team, after receiving a promotion. The Onikage said they were among the most gifted genin in the village, far more gifted than any other genin team in the world. For all he knew, Amaru and Hinoka could have been the Onikage's nieces or cousins. Since they were all of Uzumaki ancestry, they simply knew that they were related, even though neither of them was precisely sure how. Considering their ages, they had simply decided to be cousins since it was the most convenient type of relationship. Conversely, Guren's adoptive brother was Yukimaru. It was shocking to learn that the boy was truly of Senju ancestry, as Naruto had discovered. However, since Namikaze Minato, the Onikage's biological father, was a direct descendant of Senju Tobirama, that also meant that he was technically related to the Onikage. Once more, Hinoka spoke with unfathomable conviction, maybe for a second-rate ninja like everyone else. For Naruto Sensei, on the other hand, it's a piece of cake. Arg. Why do we always have to listen to your stupid fantasies about this clueless jerk? I don't even know how such a weakling became Onikage in the first place. Naruto Sensei, tell this clueless harpy how impossible it is to save 1,000 princesses. I mean, there aren't even 500 princesses in the entirety of the elemental nations. Amaru began to scream. With a deadly tone, Hinoka questioned, "You dare to disrespect Onikage?" Sama? Hey, relax guys. We are teammates, remember? Have you forgotten all of Naruto Sensei's teachings? We must never fight each other, our skills are to be used to slay our enemies, not our loved ones. Yukimaru made an effort to be a voice of reason. Amaru sulked, as if I would ever love a clueless harpy like Hinoka. Teme. Yukimaru sighed in dismay at his friend's inability to acknowledge her own feelings. Yukimaru inquired, assuming he already knew the answer, Naruto Sensei, I fear there is only one resolution to this conflict. It has to come directly from your own lips. Is it true that you have saved 1,000 princesses? With a proud but absurd stance, Naruto declared, but of course, Yukimaru. I am the great Naruto. Sama, after all, the strongest ninja in the world, he. He wasn't behaving like the head of the Bloodline organization or the dreaded village of demons. You lying piece of shit. Amaru yelled as she attempted to give her sensei a straight kick to the back. Naturally, Naruto avoided the kick and took off running, with Amaru chasing after him with such ferocity that it appeared as though smoke was about to escape from her ears. Amaru angrily yelled, "Come here, Teme. Sensei. How dare you make me look ridiculous in front of that crazy slut?" As she attempted to catch up to Naruto as quickly as possible. However, she was unable to even slightly close the distance between her and her sensei. All she could see was her sensei's red cloak with the DNA sequence on it drifting further and further away from her. Naturally, that was prior to her quickly reducing the gap between her and her sensei. She was about to burst into a broad smile, realizing that her speed training had paid off, when she felt her sensei had stopped dead in his tracks. She then sensed two very strong chakras, quickly realizing that these people's chakras were not only very large in reserves but also very potent. That meant that instead of focusing on beating the living shit out of her lying asshole of a sensei, Amaru had to give up and take up position directly in front of him. Hinoka and Yukimaru soon followed, positioning themselves on either side of her. A man with short, spiky orange hair and gray metallic eyes with ring patterns around the pupils said, "Onikage. Dono, what great students you have. Their chakra is strong, and so is their form and resolve. They will become great ninja one day." He emerged from what appeared to be a literal demon's maw, followed by a stunning woman with blue hair, orange eyes, and smooth, creamy skin. Both wore the traditional Akatsuki black cloak with red clouds on it and had numerous facial piercings, more visible on the male than the female. Naruto asked nonchalantly if he was at all perturbed by having the leader of the Akatsuki pay him a surprise visit of this kind. If it isn't the famed leader of the Akatsuki and Iwagakure no Sato, the legendary god of peace who defeated and slew the preciously undefeated Hanzo the Salamander. The only known wielder of the Rinnegan since the Sage of the Six Paths himself. How strange is this space? Time ninjutsu? Taking a literal demon and using it to carry you? I have never seen such a technique before, I must say, thought Naruto critically. I knew, as soon as you attended a Kage summit in which you petitioned for and were given the official title of Onikage, that your village would begin to take missions outside of Demon Country, that it meant your lockdown that nobody knew about was officially over and that people from your village would be seen all over the elemental nations. I suspected members of the bloodline would begin to move as well, but never did I expect the Onikage himself would not only take on a genin team but would actually leave the village to go on missions with his team. When Conan brought me word of this, I knew I could not waste such an opportunity. The man with spiky hair spoke without emotion voice. I see. Well, it's customary to formally introduce yourself before you speak to someone, especially someone of high esteem, like for instance, the Onikage, tactically replied Naruto. Again, the man with the spiky hair said in an entirely emotionless tone, of course. I apologize for being so rude, but I think my excitement got the best of me. Excitement? Both of his teammates agreed that, this guy doesn't even look like someone who knows the meaning of the word, as Yukimaru put it. The man, now known as Pain, introduced himself and his partner in a somewhat flamboyant way. I am Lord Pain, the god of aim, the god of peace, and the leader of Akatsuki as you have already surmised. My partner here is Conan, she is my right hand and partner in Akatsuki. It is good to meet your acquaintance, Lord Pain. I am Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto, son of Uzumaki Kushina and Namikaze Minato, leader of the Bloodline organization, and also the Kage of Onigakure no Sato with the official title of Onikage. These are my students. The young man is Yukimaru, the young lady at the center of the formation is Uzumaki Amaru, and the other young lady is Uzumaki Hinoka. They are formerly my genin, but they have been promoted and are now my chunin team. Their skills are high jonin level already, but they lack in experience, which is the only reason they are still chunin. Underestimate them at your own peril. Naruto said with a sorrowful tone. Uzumaki huh? So these are the other two Uzumaki you spoke of at the Kage summit, apart from you and the other Uzumaki woman you attended the summit with? Pain was curious. No, they are not. The other two are members of the bloodline. Naruto replied simply. So you lied at the summit? You said there were only 4 of you when there were actually 6 of you. Pain asked rhetorically. Who said that there are only 6? Naruto asked cheekily, although not getting the surprised reaction that he expected from Pain. Perhaps the guy really didn't have any emotions whatsoever. I see. You truly are an enigma, Onikage. Dono. Pain replied. So I've been told. But right now you are in fact the riddle to be solved. Again I ask, to what do I owe this honor? Naruto asked curiously. I simply wish to share my philosophy with you. To find out if you and I are as like-minded as I believe us to be. You are someone I deem worthy of such a privilege. After I have shared my thoughts, dreams, and desires with you, I then will wish to pose a question of you. Will you answer my questions with the same sincerity with which I share my dreams and desires with you? Pain asked. You have my word. Naruto replied sincerely, although at this point he probably would have said anything just to keep this guy talking. The leader of the Akatsuki showing up out of nowhere and offering to share his goals and motives with him? It sounded almost too good to be true, and yet was also too good an opportunity to gain intel on Akatsuki for him to allow to slip by. Very well then. Let me tell you my story.
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.